Chris.
Oh,
Chris
fake
on
Chris.
this side,
Yep.
and Zeke on the other
Okay.
side.
Let me see what these are set up to be. Oh, this is all set up to have an overlay. Right, we'll just do it the old-fashioned way. Text. Chris, like C-H-R-I-S, Chris. That's easy. We'll resize that and everything in a bit. I'm gonna need help spelling this one.
That's Z-E-K-E.
Oh, that's alright. Easy. Lock. Whoa. What? Huh? What?
Yep.
I didn't know that was the thing I could do. Flip. Verdict. What?
You flip
Judge?
sideways?
Wait, did I just drag it? Is this how this? Alright, at this point.
Just start over.
Flip horizontal. Easy.
Yep.
There we go. That's the plan all along. Hey, we've got all these black bar range. We can have big names.
Yeah.
Boom. Chris is there. Alright, that might be a little big. We'll do that. And this. Lock preview. Make sure our Twitch chat hasn't exploded again. Wait, X-Wing Junkies has their own emotes? I'm so jealous. I want a Boba Fett emote.
Wow. Look at those guys.
I think we have to go to war with them until they give us their emotes.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's good.
But that other guy gave up on the quality. Didn't take much.
Is this? Yeah, the quality's decent. I do wish we could go higher, but I think people will start. There's a lot more people that watch on like Twitch Mobile than I realized.
Yeah.
Which is surprising.
I actually do that a lot. Like if there's something going on, I'll be like playing video games and I just have my phone sitting next to me so I can have to pay attention.
Okay, that's good. Well, let me grab some water, and I guess we're good. I'll go ahead.
So I suddenly realized I don't need to email you anything. Go to atomicempire.com.
Ooh. Yep.
Scroll down to the Runewars tournament.
This
Right there.
guy.
There's the pairings and standings link, which you can
Ooh.
post, and there's the tournament pack, which is this file.
Nice.
Everything's in there.
Thank you.
Easy.
Final flurry. Wait, this is final salvo?
Yeah, basically.
You're not safe either.
Nope.
Oh, the pairings and standing never loaded. Ah, there they are. This is cool. Okay, time to close some tabs that are making sound.
And the thing is, like, that can be super. In this game, this can be super unbalanced.
Got the
So, like,
final flurry.
Yeah. So like Zeke, like right now, he'd have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8
Mm-hmm.
dice, I think. And if you were doing like like these MSU lists, you could have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15. You could have like 20s, like in the mid 20s. Like it could be super. Not
That's
like
awesome.
close.
I want to watch
Some
them roll
people
20
run
dice.
because like this giant unit that's like almost like more than a third of your army,
Mhm.
and almost half your army, even if you build it. It doesn't get any more dice for being big. It
Yeah.
just hits harder because you multiply everything by how wide they are.
Gotcha.
But for Final Flurry, that super doesn't matter because
Oh, are these the lists?
that's just their dials.
Oh, gotcha.
So I know what
Oh, this is like just
like what
every
everybody can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is an X-Wing. Shut up, Twitch chat. We're taking you to a more wholesome
Yeah.
place today.
Yeah.
Alright, let me grab some.
Yes.
There we go. Now it's back on. Can you guys hear us okay? Or do you mind turning on the audio on your laptop?
Sure.
Really quick. Let's just make sure it's good before we start a horrible, terrible feedback loop. There we go. Now it's back on. Can you guys hear us okay? Or do you mind turning on the audio on your laptop?
Sure.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. And when we close the door, it should be better. Let me get some more water.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can get us a timer. I'll leave the door open until the round starts. Don't know how to get us a timer. Can't be that complicated,
Will
right?
we? No. Will we have the lists in those black lines? That's up to Chris if he feels like typing all this stuff.
Sure.
and putting it in.
Before I agree to that, how big is a list?
Well,
Like, is this all like NIM? Like, there's 10 cards on
so
one thing, or it's like 10 cards.
and
it's
for
fine.
Zeke, yeah, because he's got his spear star, so it's gonna be the unit plus I don't know how many upgrades he's got on there.
I'm also not sure how to fit it. We could crop off some of the sides of the video.
Or type it very, very small.
So how about next round? We'll put the lists in there.
Yeah, if there's
Give us some
questions
time.
about lists, I can always hop next door and look at what they're doing. But I know Zeke, I've played against Zeke a few times. Pretty straightforward spear star usually. I don't know if he made any changes for today. He usually does the frontline rune golem, shield wall, with the rallying spearman, and his cav, and then Hawthorne, solo Hawthorne.
I'm
Yeah, we can
almost good to
abbreviate
start
everything.
asking you a lot of stupid
They're
questions.
flipping some. I don't know. Why are they flipping something?
You can't tell them.
Oh,
you
are
can't
they
flip
just
things.
like? So we have. So this is a little different than just sort of the standard tournament rules, which so we don't have the players aren't bringing their own decks of deployments and objectives. We already have that predetermined for each round. So they're playing the Maelstrom deployment and break their defenses as the objective this round, which I think we're going to put a link.
Yeah. I think I can do this. Let's see. It'll take me just a second.
Okay. So we're going to try to have links to both. We've got our tournament packets online, and also this whole tournament is going on
link
War
is
Score,
easy.
which will update standings between each round. So if you're interested in how people are doing,
So here
we've got.
to our Twitch chat. There's the objectives. And
Hey, all
everything.
right.
I don't know. Did that show up? Okay.
Yep.
No, we are in our channel again.
Oh,
Not. I
yeah.
want to make sure your chat gets
I
in.
am so. Let's see. I kept ours open so I could see, but
I don't think it'll show up.
nope.
Make sure that link
I
works.
don't know that anybody's
Yes.
watching this anymore.
I don't know. If you go to your dashboard, you can tell. Just slash dashboard. make
I don't
make
know
your
what
life
I'm
easy.
doing. Come on, Twitch.
What I really wonder is, can I embed this?
as you're also now noticing, we use custom terrain for this, which, if you listen to the podcast, we talked about how we do. Oh, look at that, fancy.
I just want to double check it's
wait.
actually
Just
legible.
wait, people, till you see this. But we talked on one of the episodes how we don't use the standard for our tournaments. We don't use the stuff that came with the game. Shane has a bunch of stuff here. They have a huge selection of like wargaming terrain, and so we pull some stuff off the shelves that's about the same size as the stuff that came with the game, and then Shane makes these little cards, which you can kind of see on that one, telling the capacity and if they have any special effects.
Yeah. I happen to remember that top one is capacity 6.
Yeah.
That they're seeing there.
Yep.
And I
So-
actually thought that they were standard, like that he had cut out foam to be exactly the same as the Runewars terrain.
No.
Because it looks
It looks
super
very
close.
similar,
I was
yeah.
like, wow, how'd you do that? He's like, oh, I didn't. So,
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah. They just happen to have.
So if you
some
make that
things
big, is that
work.
text legible or do I need to make it bigger?
Let's see. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So
Looks
that's
good.
the deployment rules and
Yep.
everything for this round.
Yep.
Um,
So they'll just have the 2 pieces of terrain, and then Zeke's got his corner marked off there.
so for those of us that don't understand what's going on,
Yeah.
so if on the left card is the like area each player can set
Yes.
up, right?
So you mark off that with, you can see that little
Yeah,
L-shaped
the
marker.
L-shaped marker.
So all your units have to be within that to start with,
Mhm.
and if they don't fit, they have to be far back towards the edge of the mat as possible.
Gotcha.
And then for
Like if your
this-
tray was too long or something,
yeah,
too tall,
yeah,
whatever.
too deep. Which Chris's, he's got one that's 3 trays deep, so that's not going to fit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be hanging out the front edge, but it's up to him, kind of anywhere along there he can put it, and you can. But as long as you're within that area, you can deploy however you want. And then for this one, they're going to, and kind of the goofy thing is, so the numbers on the deployment are the ranges according to the range ruler,
Mm-hmm.
but range 3 is actually a little bit bigger than the tray. So the range ruler for Runewars is a little weird in that the range 1 band is wider than the rest,
Gotcha.
or longer than the rest.
Okay, so like short range is actually slightly longer than like a medium
Yes,
range marker.
yeah.
Kind of like Armada style.
Yeah.
Where the middle one's the smallest,
Right.
but here the
so
first one's longer.
yeah, so you get a little, and there's a notch on the end, so you can check arc
Yeah.
from the corners of these things that have ranged attacks. And so most of the time, most deployments actually he's just gonna fit in there actually at 3 deep because the 1 gives that little extra
Extra little bit of room.
a little extra bit of room there because the trays are as wide as the individual units from 2 to 5.
Mm-hmm. So it looks like they're both going to set up on top, so I can probably go adjust the camera after deployment here to let us
Yeah,
see what's
they're-
going on a little better.
So, and that was pretty good. So Chris, you could see, was debating about where to put that other piece of terrain that we can just see a little bit of. By putting it up there, he kind of forces Zeke to deploy kind of in the center of the board here,
Yeah.
because he's going to have a hard time getting through.
Yeah,
that
he can't
spot.
split up around the.
Yeah, his Spear Star will not fit through there at all.
Right.
So his big unit has to go in the middle here if it wants to move anywhere. Unless he starts it pointing sideways, which is not really the idea of that unit. You want to crash it into something and kill the
Gotcha.
thing.
So it's called a Spear Star.
Yeah.
What's a Spear Star? Walk me through.
So, Spear Star is a unit made up of spearmen, and kind of Star is the from Death Star.
Yeah.
So it's like the largest possible unit you can build.
Gotcha.
And so the Spear Star is Dakan, which is the human faction, which these guys are both playing.
The good
Or
guys.
Is that Dakan? It's hard to tell. Yeah, they're Dakan. Yep. So at first I wasn't sure if the horses were. They're not Death Knights. They're human horses. They're not vampire horses. So it's the largest unit of human spearmen you can fit, and they put all sorts of upgrades on them. So they've got a rune golem in the front instead of one tray of the spearmen, that big guy in the middle, which makes so everything in Runewars, when you roll their attack dice, you multiply it by threat, which is how wide the unit is,
Mhm.
and the rune golem makes that unit act wider than it actually is.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
it ups their damage output pretty considerably.
So it's a clever use of like the way dice multipliers work to make one giant massive unit that you can't mess with.
Yeah.
Okay.
if you run into that one, the thing that you run into it with most likely dies.
Okay.
Because you have to kill. I mean, there's a lot of guys in that unit, and it doesn't lose any effectiveness until that whole back row is gone. In terms of rerolls, and its damage doesn't drop until you start getting to the front row.
Gotcha.
So you always pull figures off from the back going forward. So it remains a high damage output unit for a long time.
Okay.
And I don't know if Zeke's, I'll have to check if he's got shield wall, but a lot of people there's an upgrade called shield wall on it, which when you're getting attacked, you can choose to use it, and it basically, it adds to their defense, so it makes it much harder to kill. Their defense is normally 1, so it takes 1 hit to kill 1 spearman. It makes their defense 2.
Gotcha.
So it basically halves your damage against them.
Wow. Okay.
Which is, it's nasty.
So don't run into it.
Don't run into it.
All right.
No.
I think we might watch someone run into it.
Yeah. If you run into it, you pretty much have to know that you're going to most likely lose whatever you're gonna lose that exchange. The advantage is once you run into it, you pretty much stay in combat. Running away imposes penalties, so you don't want to do it. But you know the advantage of if you run into it with something that can stick around for a while, then you know where it's going to be. So you have the ability to, you have the ability to, potentially flank it with some of your other units if you know it's going to be sitting there for a while.
Gotcha.
I actually played against this won't make much sense to you, but
I'm in.
Yeah. I played against Zeke running this list in a tournament where we had to start with 2 units engaged in the center of the board, so you had to pick one. And so obviously he was going to choose that unit.
Yes.
And I had my solo hero for the human guys, Lord Hawthorne, who was pretty tanky. Like, you can have his defense be reliably 5, so it takes 5 hits to do a wound to him, and he takes 3 wounds to kill. And I was like, well, I'll put him out there because all my other units are my offense, and Hawthorne is my defense, so I'll put him out there. And he actually lived through the entire game because I managed to flank the spears with my horses, my cavalry, and was able to kill the spears before they could kill Hawthorne. Part of it was that I was at the high end of dice variance luck on that
Roll
one.
the natties?
Yeah.
Easy.
But it's very unlikely that things survive against them for very long. Although,
I gotcha. Other than, like you said, some of the most defensive stuff in the game.
they can at least hold up for a few turns.
Okay, and I was reading break their defenses as well. So it looks like the short summary is you each start, obviously you have to start apart, but you're trying to get close to each other's deployment zone, right? You score points for that?
Yeah, so a lot of the setups for this, once your army is set, you just pull the markers off and that doesn't matter anymore. But in this one, you leave them. So that, yes, if you end a unit, you end in your opponent's zone at the end of the game, which is the end of round 8. So there are just 8 turns. Then you score points, and the 20 up in the upper right, that's how many points you score for each unit.
Oh, wow. So it's only at the game. It's not at the end of every turn.
Nope, it's just at the end of the So you check at the end of the game who landed in the opponent's zone, and you get some extra points that way.
And is that every unit in a tray, or is a tray a unit?
A tray is so the unit is the collection of trays.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So Zeke has 4 units total.
So it's not like if he gets his spear star over to the other side, he just wins the game because he has a billion models.
Yeah, it's just 20 points. And then Chris has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units, it looks like. So he might be, and he's got a lot of archers there, or heavy crossbowmen, which are probably just going to hang back and shoot because that's what they do.
Let me double check the route time,
Yeah.
and I'll get the in time on there.
Okay.
Minutes. So the round ends in 80 minutes.
Okay.
Let me fix starting soon because that's just super wrong.
Yep. It already started.
And I'll kill the image.
Yeah, so these
do
guys
games usually go to time? Should I, do we need a time ender on it, you think, or?
Yeah, most of them do.
Okay. So round 1 ends 12, 80 minutes, it'll be 1, it's an hour and 20 minutes, 54. Is that right? Basic math? An hour and 20 minutes?
12:54.
12:54.
Yeah.
I was like, that seems long.
Yeah, I was like, wow, we're going to be here a lot longer than I thought.
Okay, get that centered back. I'm going to go adjust the camera really quick and then ask you stupid questions about
Great.
routes. So Here's a dial. I have a
Yep,
reference.
there's the dial. Yeah, so they're getting into planning for round 1 right now. I'll be interested to see what Zeke does here. He's a little bit hemmed in by that terrain. Although, well, I guess he can run. So it is a capacity 6 terrain, so he's got room for his units to run in there if he wants to do that, which seems likely. And then push the Spear Star and Hawthorne forward.
There we go.
Although I don't know if Zeke's played against the heavy crossbows yet. And they can actually be a little bit scary, depending on what Chris has on them, which I imagine is probably Rank Discipline and Tempered Steel, I would guess. So they have the potential to throw Mortal Strikes at Hawthorne, which is a little bit... Zeke has to, I guess, think a little bit about if he wants to run Hawthorne right up there. Because that's his... So in the game there are Mortal Strikes, which... I don't know if that dial has the Mortal Strike symbol. No, it's like a skull with a little, like a broken skull.
Oh, I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah. So the crossbowmen that Chris has, his 2 archers that are kind of behind that front small horse unit, they have the ability to do Mortal Strikes at range 1 to 3. So if Hawthorne gets too close to them, they could... So he can shrug off their damage, but he can't shrug off Mortal Strikes. Mortal Strike is just an auto wound, regardless of what your defense value is. So they could potentially, I mean, if everything goes perfectly, they could kill him in 2 rounds of firing between
So
the 2 units. So
for people coming from X-Wing, it's like an auto blaster style effect. Like you just take a damage.
Yeah, so it's something they can spend. They can spend a surge, which is the lightning bolt thing, to do just an auto wound.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you mind
So it's
walking me
I'm
through?
just gonna take that.
So
Yeah.
I mean, you can see the dials are behind the units there for Zeke, and the dials are much larger than I'm used to seeing in other FFG games. They're 2 dials.
Yeah.
So this is the left side because I had it upside down because I'm really good at this. So we have some blue arrows going forward,
a bunch of green stuff.
A
Yeah,
bunch of green
we're looking
stuff, I
at
don't know how to
Kari's dial
describe.
for anybody who
Okay.
wants to follow along.
And then there's a red sword.
Yeah.
So what does the left dial mean? What is this, like? What are they choosing?
So the left is generally, and everybody's dial is a little bit different, but the left is kind of your action, and the right is your modifier. So generally, the stuff on the right modifies the thing you do on the left. That's not always the case. Some people have things that they can do, and it is color dependent. So whatever you dial in the left, you have to do something that matches it on the right. But you'll notice she's got white. That's the rally symbol.
Oh, so
white can go with anything.
Gotcha.
Yep. So if you do something that's red, and FFG put letters on this one, so
it was great.
Yeah. So you have to make it match, and if you don't, then it cancels the thing you put on the second dial.
Gotcha. You just don't get.
You just don't get to do it. Yeah. So the blue is generally movement. There are some units in the game that have different colors of movement, but blue is the most common color for movement stuff. So that's the speed, and the small number in the upper left is the order in which you do it. So that's their initiative order for the round.
Oh.
So the lower number is where you act. So Kari can march on 3 and 4, and these green things she all does at initiative 2.
I realized I can just get us a picture, and that'll be way easier. So let me put that on the camera really quickly. Give me just a second. There it is. A dial. Boom. Okay.
All right, so Chris has sent his 4-tray cav forward. Looks like Zeke is activating his Hawthorne. Yeah, so that's the crossbow guys. So that's Chris's two units that are at the bottom left. That's what.
And they
that's
activated
what
first because they had a low number on their left dial.
Yeah. So his cavalry, and so basically what you do is each round, one player will have initiative. Okay, so Zeke charges his Hawthorne forward right into the face of Chris's cavalry. But I don't know if he actually dialed a charge in. We'll see if he rolls some dice in a sec. Nope. So he just ran into them, and he's got a panic token. Looks like. So if you crash into an enemy unit and you did not charge, which is the little explodey arrow.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep. Then you take panic for basically having crashed into your enemy without intending to attack them.
Gotcha. So if you don't dial in a blue, so I have the dial up here now for some guy with a spear. I just grabbed the first thing off.
That's the spearman, the human spearman.
Okay, is that what he has?
Which is
star?
that's the spear star dial.
Okay, accidentally nailed it.
Yep.
So the 4 and 5 at the top left corner, these blue ones, is what order they activate in.
Yeah.
The 2 and 3 is how fast they move, or is that like a
yes,
bonus?
that's the speed.
Okay.
Yep.
So if they don't move, if you dial in something other than move, they just don't move.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So so in Runewars, you don't always get to move and attack. Sometimes if you want to attack, you have to choose not to move. But again, unlike X-Wing, once the units are engaged with each other, like Zeke's Hawthorne and Chris's cavalry, they stay there, and they'll just fight each other there unless somebody decides to leave. But again, so panic, the token that Hawthorne has right now, you get one of those if you disengage from combat. So if you run away, you're running away in panic, I guess.
Or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And those can be used to. There's a deck, a morale deck in this. That's similar to the damage deck in X-Wing, where it has effects basically that will. They can range anything from minor inconveniences to making your entire unit turn around and run the other way, which is really terrible.
Yes.
Some of the bad ones also make your unit attack itself.
That seems bad.
Which is bad. Yep. So
hey,
you get a free
that spear star burn itself down.
Basically, a free action attack against yourself that you have to do right then.
That seems bad.
You don't get any rerolls or anything on it, so it's not fully modified attack. But still, your unit is killing themselves, which you don't really want.
So, and Zeke also just moved his units, it looked like he was okay, it's going to move into the cover thing, and they just did it?
Yeah.
Is there a...
Yeah, so if you collide with terrain that's empty, your units just go in there.
Okay.
Yep. So he's got his cavalry in that forest
hiding
right
in the
now.
forest.
Yep. And one of the other things about, so that cavalry unit that Zeke's got, you'll notice they're 4 trays wide, which... is an ability that Hawthorne, his guy at the bottom there that he ran forward, he lets you reform your units into ways that they normally don't come. So on the back of the unit card, it tells you different ways that you can set up the unit.
Right.
So,
and he's the one that says, do whatever you want, basically.
Yeah. Yep. So otherwise, if he didn't have him, his horses would be basically a block of 4, 2 in the front, 2 in the back.
Right.
But Hawthorne lets you make them 4 wide, which makes them a little harder to maneuver because they're a little wider, so they can't really get through space, but they hit harder.
Yeah, well,
because
they'd be harder
4.
to flank too, right? Because you have to hit them on the side.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And Zeke's running the spear star forward, but it looks like he bumped his Hawthorne with it. So that's not ideal.
Did he not get to attack now? Or?
So he's not currently engaged with anything.
Because he hit himself.
Because he ran into his own unit.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So his spear star doesn't really, and Hawthorne can't leave that spot unless he runs away, which he probably doesn't want to do. So it looks like the spear star is going to be taking some crossbow fire this round, which is actually going to be pretty bad
for instance,
them.
the crossbowmen here, it's the next turn now, right? So the crossbowmen are going to dial in and attack, presumably, instead of moving.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And then the right dial for them will be a modifier and probably just make them do more damage. Or something.
So they have a modifier. So they have the lightning bolt, like the surge modifier, that they can spend for. So basically, they have an upgrade on them. I'm assuming that will let them turn that into an extra hit.
Gotcha.
And they're actually pretty effective. So they're naturally 3 trays wide. That's not Hawthorne didn't make them that way. They come that way. And there's not a whole lot of units that are naturally threat 3 for the point cost. So they're actually pretty effective. Their damage output is surprisingly good because they're multiplying everything by 3. So they can do 9 or 12 damage in a round pretty consistently.
And how much damage would it take to kill this Spear Star, for instance? Or is each unit in there 1 health, or how does?
Yeah. So he's got.
So 12 damage would be the entire back row.
Yes.
Okay.
But again, if he's got shield wall on there, that's once per turn, but he can use the shield wall to basically make them defense 2. So if he activates it, like let's say ideally, Chris rolls 12 damage with his crossbowman, and Zeke activates shield wall, he'll lose half of his back rank instead of the whole thing, which is preferable. but then that'll be used up. So the second shot coming in from crossbowman, assuming that Chris is going to target the Spear Star and try and whittle that thing down, well, he's got a great opportunity to do it. The second one is going to be full damage because the shield wall is for 1 attack.
Yeah, it's once per turn on 1 attack, not forever, once per game or whatever.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool.
And then Zeke will also have to find a way to refresh that, which he's got his spearmen that are kind of in the middle of that whole thing. They have an ability that lets them refresh upgrades. So that's kind of the plan with that, is you keep them near the Spear Star to keep that upgrade up and be able to use it every round.
Gotcha. So Zeke, I assume you did, like you said, he probably charged there and was hoping to hit something. So did he basically just lose a turn of attacks with the strongest unit for like?
So, yeah, I don't know if he dialed in a charge or just a move, but
gotcha.
But yeah, that's really not a great spot.
Gotcha.
For that
So
Spear
ideally,
Star.
that unit would have gone and crashed into something and burnt it all to the ground,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
So if he had room, and I think that angle got him a little bit, because they're kind of off kilter from Hawthorne.
Mm-hmm.
So if they were straight on, he'd also be able to. He would have crashed them into that same cavalry unit that Hawthorne's engaged with, and he would have just chewed through that this turn,
Gotcha.
really easily. And I mean, unless the rolling went really poorly, that unit would probably be dead, and then he'd be free to start crashing the Spear Star into the crossbowman.
Gotcha.
Which he will in melee. He'll chew through them pretty quickly as well. But
so like these archers or crossbowmen archers, sorry, I've forgotten which one was which because there's both.
Yeah.
So since they're kind of like they're high damage, but they can't move and attack. Like I assume the advantage of cavalry is that they can charge into things.
Actually, so cavalry, so the cavalry kind of want to just smash right into you, and the concav they have a defense bonus as well. So we have some dice
Things
rolling.
are happening.
Oh boy, that's a Hawthorne attack.
Oh, I should have brought a dice tray. That would have been smart.
So Zeke is attacking with Hawthorne because he's white-red into Chris's cavalry, and it looks like, how many did he get? So Hawthorne, his point isn't really to do damage.
Mm-hmm.
If you get some damage out of him, it's like a nice little bonus, but he did kill a whole tray of cav. So what I was saying about the cav is once they activate, they have a defense bonus.
Mm-hmm.
So right now they're defense 2. So Zeke did at least 4 damage there to kill 2 horses.
Gotcha. So he chose an early activation attack just so they wouldn't have the defense.
Yep. So Hawthorne can attack at 2. I think is right. Is his melee? Yeah, he can melee at 2, but it's yellow, so he doesn't get any extra bonus out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't have a damage bonus on his modifier dial anyway. He has a +1 defense, which is kind of pretty much what you always dial in with Hawthorne.
But he also could have done 6.
He could have, he could have attacked
but
at
that
6.
means people could move out of like being engaged from him, or
right,
whatever,
or
right?
they would most likely attack first because the cavalry attacks at 3.
Gotcha. Or could, and they can also attack at 7.
Yeah.
But again, they want to attack early so they get their.
Yeah. So cavalry generally, once you're engaged, you dial in that 3 attack and the +1 defense. So the downside for Chris there of being engaged with Hawthorne is that he's going to swing first before their defense bonus is up.
Right.
So now they're going to swing into Hawthorne, but they are threat 1 now instead of threat 2. So it's just whatever shown on the dice. And assuming Zeke's got 2 upgrades on Hawthorne. One of them, if he's got the shield on there, then Hawthorne's going to be defense 5, and so Chris is going to have a hard time doing a wound to Hawthorne with just a single tray of cav.
Yeah. Oh.
Something. Okay, so
Rest in peace.
Yep. So that's the thing. So cavalry hit pretty hard, or they can.
Pretty hard.
Yeah. So he just wiped.
So there's one guy left there.
Is that one, or I guess I could just make this big over here instead of.
So what happens if like 2 units attack each other both at 3, for instance?
Yeah. So there's 2 guys. So the way initiative in the game works is one player will have initiative. And so it goes in order where the player who has initiative declares, okay, I have a 2. And if the other player also has a 2, the player with initiative gets to activate his 2 first, in this case. So like Zeke had his Hawthorne at 2. If Chris also had something in initiative 2, and Zeke were the first player. So part of where that, he charged his, or ran his cavalry out of the terrain there.
Gotcha.
So part of that, the thing with this is if you have multiple units at the same initiative, you have to choose, knowing that your opponent's going to activate one after you.
Yeah,
so it always goes back.
It's not
and
like
forth.
all your 2s. It's your 2, their 2, your 2.
Your 2, their 2. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Like
but
if
then
you have
that'll
your 2
switch every
attack
round.
and kill a unit that's also 2 that hasn't activated yet, or they just dead?
Then they're just gone. Yep.
Crazy.
So they don't get their activation.
And does initiative switch every round, or is one player have?
So it swaps every round.
Okay.
Yep. So that's part of. So Zeke. So it looks like we can just catch in the bottom right, like under the time there. That's the round marker. So whoever has that is the first player.
Gotcha.
So Zeke was the first player this round.
So here
and it
he
looks like-
collided with the unit, so he's flanking it.
So
now.
he's
That's why he
so
keeps
he's got a
changing the angle
flanking
on it.
position there. So he came out of the terrain, and so one of the things the cavalry have, which not a lot of units have that, but they do because they are, they're on horses, so they're fast. Hawthorne has it, and the cavalry have it for humans, where they have a move on their second dial as well. So what Zeke did was he dialed in his first move to get out of the terrain. So it takes a whole move to exit terrain. So basically when he dialed in the move, he exited with his back, the back of his unit up against the terrain. And then he did a second maneuver, which
right
moved
dial.
him forward
Yeah.
on the right dial. So because they have 2 separate moves on their 2 dials, they have the ability to come out of terrain and then also crash into something.
Something must have happened.
So he's not going to be attacking. So they've called Shane over. It looks like they're trying to figure out how this will resolve. Because they came out and they crashed, so they're going to be engaged with a unit, but they're not going to get to attack. And so they are hitting. So that's Kari, Wraith Stalker, Chris's Kari that they're running into, and so they're going to hit her, and they're hitting her on her flank, but they can't rotate all the way around because the spearman behind her will stop them. Yeah.
Gotcha. Because usually they would come all the way around, and you'd not lock them into place, but you would put the whole tray like.
Yeah, you would just put them all alongside, but because they can't do that right now. Basically, so what happens with a lot of collisions is in this game is if you can't resolve that, you wait until there's an opportunity to do
okay. So once these guys
if
move,
the spearmen are gone, then they might be able to move into that flanking
so
position,
basically,
depending on what
they
happens.
are there. It's just you can't put it on a 2D board yet.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, and then
they are not squaring up because they didn't charge, says our chat.
Yeah. All right. They did. Oh, that's right. They just did a move on their second dial. They did not charge.
So when you come out of terrain, like you said, it costs a move. Do you get to choose the orientation your unit comes out at? Like, can you?
So if you use a march, which is just like the straightforward arrow, then the back of your unit has to be touching the terrain. But you can bring them out anywhere.
Gotcha.
So basically, once they're in terrain, it's like they're in there, and they can come out in any direction as long as your back edge is.
So they could have come out like
up.
straight facing down, for instance, or gone up. Which
So if they could fit, if they could have fit between the terrain and where those other cavalry are, then yes, they could have come out on the back edge, like on Zeke's side, but then they'd be facing the wrong way. Which is
or
not
they
what
could
you
go
would
up,
want.
but that's super not the right direction to be going.
Right.
I don't mean to be bothering you with all the silly rules questions.
No, that's good. I think I was trying to figure out what's going on there, and I'm watching my screen, which is a little behind.
Oh, gotcha.
But it looks like Zeke flanked with his spear star into the
Actually, here, let me make this full
cavalry,
screen, and
it
we can
looks
pull
like.
the chats up over there. That
Okay.
might be easier. And I'll just put this between us. I just double click. Full screen. There we go. Okay. So there's the stream.
Yeah. So, and it looks like, I mean, I missed it, but I'm guessing that Zeke charged with his spear star and hit the cavalry over there. And so he is flanking that big cavalry unit in the center, but because he can't swing around, he's not squaring them up on that side.
Gotcha. Because there just isn't room.
Because they won't.
Looks like Shane's being
I
adult again.
think is what's going on there. It looks like that's what they're discussing. So they charged into there.
So they flank it. So they should.
Yeah.
Since they charge, they should like lock in and rotate like almost 90 degrees to the
Yeah.
right. Right.
Yep. So you want to if you charge into the flank, then you should. Normally you would square up there and just be alongside there.
Because it looks like it might fit, but I don't know how to tell without picking it up and then ruining the whole board state.
Right.
It's all over.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And the advantage of flanking in this is that you get an extra die. So in either a red or blue. So flanking is actually great for the Spear Star. They do significantly more damage because again so he adds a red die, which commonly will give you a hit, but that turns into four damage at least. So yeah, he just killed a lot of cavalry.
Just burn it all down. I missed them rolling dice, I guess.
Yeah, so he rolled I think 3 reds and a blue, and just killed.
He made some room for himself.
At least 2 entire trays
Wow.
of cavalry. And if they had already activated, which it looks like their dial's not out there anymore, they were defense 3, so that's
a really tanky unit.
so that's 24 damage to kill that many, which is insane. But that's what the Spear Star does. I mean, it runs into something and just crushes it, and especially in flanking.
Yeah, well, I mean, this seems like a good objective for them too. Good deployment and a good objective, where it's like, hey, you have to start as close as possible to me and honorably fight me.
Yep.
And then bonus points because they got to flank.
Yeah. So we'll see if they take some damage. So Chris hasn't activated his crossbowman yet, which will probably do some damage to the spearmen. And it looks like so they're still engaged with that cavalry unit.
So the bottom right, this bottom Hawthorne is Zeke's, right? And the top one is Chris's? Okay.
Yeah, and actually, Chris's figure that's up there, I know it's hard to tell the difference. That's Kari.
Oh, gotcha, yeah.
So she's the other hero, and she's a ranged unit, so...
Okay. So she's not happy to be flanked by cavalry?
No.
Oh.
But she can be melee.
Gotcha.
She attacks in melee as well. And both her attacks...
I can get this out.
Her melee attack is at 4. Her ranged attack is at 2, which is nuts. She has an ability that lets her spend damage in melee to damage other things near her, which is cool. There's not really anything worth doing that to right now. Probably you would... I mean, with her flanked, you'd want to just kill the thing flanking her, I would imagine.
Yeah, gotcha. Which it looks like is what he's doing.
Yeah, so he killed 1, which I don't know what he's got on his Kari. I use Kari in my army, and I always run her with. There's an upgrade Fortuna's dice that basically says you pick up this die and turn it to whatever side you want.
That seems good. That sounds really familiar.
Yeah.
I think I'd really like that.
Yeah, it's a once per turn effect, so it's a thing you have to be able to refresh, but there are ways to do that pretty consistently. So I like to keep her back as a range unit and just pick things off because Initiative 2, she attacks before anything else in the game pretty much, except for Hawthorne.
Oh, and she gets like her full attacks, like the red ones, right?
So she attacks on green.
Oh, that
so
one. So 4, I think.
So that's melee, but she does a range. So the arrow thing is a ranged attack. So she ranged attacks on 2,
chart,
and she can dial in a defense bonus with it, or the rally thing, which gives her the token that lets her refresh her Fortuna's dice. So it's pretty easy to keep her cranking out a consistent 6 damage turn by herself at Initiative 2.
So Sheev Wraithstalker is pretty good.
Yes. Yep, she is quite good. And there were a lot of people who kind of hate on her. So her other ability, she lets you bring an elf unit into the human faction. And a lot of people kind of hate on her as like a tax for bringing elf archers in before the humans had their own ranged unit. The crossbowmen are the newest human unit, or Dakan. And but really, I think a lot of people were not putting Fortuna's dice on her, which just makes her really scary.
Gotcha. And I took the bottom of the bottom table off the camera so we could see a little better,
cool.
but they're rolling dice there, so I may have shot us in the foot.
Yeah. So Chris is attacking with his crossbows into Zeke's spear star. It looks like he's doing stun tokens. It looks like.
So he did kill one of the back trays.
Yeah, he killed a tray and then 2 more guys. It looks like, and he's also got a couple. It looks to me like stun tokens, which those can be spent to cancel the modifier dial. All right, so they're recasting the runes. So. Okay, I guess, so that was round 2.
Yeah,
because they moved forward. So so Zeke is now the first player again. I think, or they're not moving. They're not moving the first player dial, so they're making it super hard to tell.
Those monsters.
Yeah. We might be able to tell from activation who the first player is.
I could also just go ask.
But we could, if it really matters.
Am I allowed to do that? Can I go ask?
You can. Yeah, okay. I don't know that it super matters right now.
I won't worry about it. I don't know, if I go ask who has initiative in an X-Wing game, I'll get people mad at me. So.
Yeah. Yeah, we might be able to, and the only case where it matters is in terms of overlap.
Gotcha.
So if we see 2 things that activate it too, we'll know. But it looks like Zeke's got his dial set.
He set them really quickly.
Yep.
I was like, okay, I'm doing this, and this. And I was like,
Hawthorne's going to attack. The Spear Star's going to attack. The Cavalry's going to attack. Yeah, so all his units are just attacking.
Attack with
basically.
plus attack modifiers.
Yep.
I do like the vertical dials. That makes life very easy because you can always see what all your stuff is doing.
Yeah. And you may have also noticed Chris was just checking range to something, so you can measure anytime you want in this game.
Okay.
There's no you have to pretend you want a target lock to measure to something.
I very, very seriously want to target lock this thing that I know is a range 3.5. It's very important that I measure how far away the rock is in between it.
Yeah. Why did they put 2 stun tokens on the Spear Star? I don't know. I'm not really sure why they did that. Unless my guess is that maybe I didn't see Chris's dice. He may have had a panic come up and done the level 1 check and gotten 2 of the stun token morale cards out of it. That's my guess.
So just overall board state here, is this Zeke is now ahead and this is going to be hard for Chris to come back, or is Chris handling the massive wall of death coming at him pretty well here?
So Chris is in an okay position. It's not terrible. This turn is going to be big because Zeke is probably going to, if he gets to attack that cavalry unit again, he stands a fairly good chance to just wipe them. So it'll be interesting to see what Chris does with that cavalry unit. If he tries to just finish off the 2 spearmen that are there and say, well, they're probably going to die, but oh well. So Zeke just activated his Hawthorne and used his ability to give an inspiration token to the Spear Star.
Mm-hmm.
So the inspiration tokens can be spent when you activate to either remove one of those negative tokens or to refresh a tapped ability. So
gotcha.
if Zeke had tapped his shield wall or Kari's Fortuna's dice, then he could spend that to refresh it.
Gotcha. So basically he's trying to get rid of those stun tokens.
Yeah. And Zeke is attacking with the Spear Star, and I guess he's got Moment of Inspiration on there. Is that the Spear Star? No, he's attacking with...
Because the white dice is...
Who's he attacking with? Oh, his cavalry. Okay, so he activated the cavalry. They're flanked, so he added the red die, and they had... So he tapped one of his cards, which was Moment of Inspiration, which allows them to add a white die on their attack. So he just killed Kari, which is super bad for
Like one
Chris.
shotter.
Yep, just one shotted his
good.
hero. So that's not good.
So we have
for
the
him.
stray dial on the board doing nothing.
Yep. So and now Chris is activating his cavalry, and he's just going to try and finish off those spearmen. He's going to do it. It takes 2 hits. Yeah, they're going to be super dead.
Because there aren't defensive dice here, right? Like it's just
right. It's just against a value.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was really no way they were going to survive against that. But now we'll have to see what happens to that cavalry. But yeah, that swung things pretty heavily in Zeke's favor, I think.
Gotcha.
Because I mean, the crossbowman should put some hurt on the spear star. But Zeke has a fully effective cavalry unit over there, which is in pretty good shape to. We'll have to see what Chris does with his spearmen. If he wasn't anticipating that Kari would die, then he might not have done anything with his spearmen. If he did something that will get them out of there, that will help him a lot. Because where they are right now, they're gonna get charged by the cav and just.
So
get
he would have had
demolished.
to have anticipated it, basically.
Yeah. Kari dying there is not. I mean, it's not entirely unlikely, but okay. So Zeke has now charged his spear star forward into the front line of Chris's crossbows, which is super bad for them.
So all the tokens came off because he had 2 stuns and then the. Oh,
So
no,
he still got he should still have 1. If he
There.
spent the token to get rid of 1, then he'll
He still has the
have
one.
1 left. So he won't get his modifier, which was probably. Let's see if he so he charged. So he wouldn't get his modifier. So actually, this.
Looks like the back tray goes down.
So I think he moved. So the stun. So Chris spending the stun can stop Zeke from actually doing the charge. So if Zeke dialed in the charge is a modifier.
Gotcha.
And so the stun
they just
cancels the
moved
modifier.
instead.
So they just moved and got engaged, and then the crossbowman fired and killed.
Wow. Okay. So since he stunned the spear star, basically that says they don't get to attack this turn.
Right.
Gotcha. And
So, yeah.
I assume, I mean, I don't know points wise how it works out, but the spear star is presumably the majority of his list.
It's probably in the. I forget what the spear star build adds up to because I don't ever play it.
But it's expensive, right?
Yeah, it's very expensive. So more than a third of his list.
Gotcha.
And it looks like he's got a morale check, so he's got another token there.
So when you dial in these moves, like there's a 3 and a 4, do you choose the direction of it once you actually activate?
So if you do the modifier, so the move itself is just straightforward.
Gotcha.
The modifier, so there's a bank and a turn, or they call it a wheel and a something else. I forget what the other one is.
Gotcha. So like that's banked, does that lower the speed by 1 or
So
something?
yeah,
Okay.
so it can potentially lower their speed. It doesn't with Kari because I don't know, she's an elf,
fast.
so she's
Whatever.
fast. So, but when you dial that thing in that modifies it, so the bank or the turn, you choose the direction when you get ready to move them. So you don't decide a direction until you reveal the dial.
Though I assume usually you know.
Yeah, yeah.
At least if this game is any indication, like, you know, these cavalries aren't going to turn left next turn, right? They're going to turn right.
Yeah. Yeah, he's going to try to get them.
But that does
So
mean
they're-
it takes a couple turns to...
Yeah, and especially in cavalry, so there are some units, so this thing, the squares, it's just kind of like 4 squares, is
the
a
green
reform.
square we're talking about here.
So it just lets you pivot your unit in any direction
like
you
rotate.
want. Yep. But the cavalry don't have that. So
Does any direction you want mean like within some limitation, or can you straight turn around?
yeah, you can just turn around.
Okay.
Anywhere 360, as long as you can fit it without bumping into stuff. The cavalry have it, but they have it at initiative 8.
Mm-hmm.
So they do it really late in the round. So a lot of people don't use it on them. He might use it here. Is this a big tourney?
It's
So we've
almost
got
as big as Worlds.
we've got 7 players today. Yeah, it's just we run a tournament every month. We do one every month. And actually this year we're keeping track of them throughout the year, and we're going to crown a I don't know, Lord of Terranoth or Lady of Terranoth or something at the end of the year.
Uh-oh, I have to go buy a Runewars kit,
I
guys.
know.
I need to go be the Lord of whatever
Yeah.
it is.
So it's a store tournament. We've got 7 today. my secret game plan work to commentate instead of play and give somebody a bye.
There
so
you go.
they have to sit there for an hour
Okay,
and a half.
got 'em.
So we generally average somewhere between 6 and 12 players for our monthly tournaments.
Well, I mean, and the
yeah.
The Runewars and X-Wing Nights are the same. You guys,
Yeah.
there's a lot of Runewars
Yeah,
players.
so
It's
we've
pretty
we've
cool.
grown to the point where our list of people that have played in a tournament or played in our league in the last several months is up to I think 18 or 19. There's a lot of people who aren't out today. Some people might be scared to drive still. I don't know.
Yeah, Raleigh
Yeah.
did freeze over this week. Like North
Yeah.
Carolina is closed.
Yeah, North Carolina shut down on Wednesday because we had 10 inches of snow in one day,
And
which
Thursday
is
and
a
Friday.
lot. And then Thursday and Friday it was frozen. But oh no, you just missed the top 8. That's terrible. Blaming it, and yeah, I think X-Wing is definitely to blame for that. Yeah, so I was at Gen Con. Chris was at Gen Con this year too, and I wasn't really playing Rune Wars by that point. I hadn't gotten into it yet, so I went and lost at X-Wing a lot.
Yeah, the dream.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm hoping to make it out to Gen Con again next year and play Rune Wars.
Well, Gen Con's nice because there aren't 2 schedules. You can just
Right.
go and do whatever you want. They're
Yeah.
like, all right, I want to play Destiny and Rune Wars. Oh, got to go to Minneapolis twice. Okay, maybe
Yeah.
not. But
Yeah.
Gen Con, go do whatever you want. It's nice.
Yeah. All right, so we're on the next round here. Zeke is attacking with Hawthorne and
Kills him.
destroying that thing.
Didn't you say that was a defensive unit?
So yeah, Hawthorne is generally known for his defense, but I don't know, he might have. So Hawthorne has a few different choices of upgrades. One of them is a little more offensive,
Because he's one-shot everything he's
but
attacked
he's
so far.
he's doing well. His Hawthorne is treating him well. So I'll have to see after this game what he's got on him. But yeah, so he wiped out that tray.
I do like Chris's template tray. That's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, mine just are loose in my box because I'm a
Filthy
I know.
pleb. Disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah, they had. Oh, okay. So they had some. I don't know what I only know the Worlds templates. So they did like Latari Elf themed templates for Worlds this year,
Like
which
nice
looked pretty
acrylic
sweet.
ones?
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't know that I've seen the Gen Con template. Oh wait, yeah, I don't know that I've seen those. I remember wandering by the Rune Wars tables at Gen Con and looking at I think I was walking by during the cut, but I didn't really know the game at that point, so I wasn't paying that much attention to
You're
it.
just checking it out.
Yeah.
Are there trees
So-
at this tournament? I feel obligated to ask.
Are
I
there
didn't see
trees?
Naomi, so I don't know if
I
I'm
don't-
guaranteed trees.
I don't think we'll have any trees. No, I don't think any of our regular Atari players are here.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Naeem's all about the trees.
This man loves some trees. It's amazing.
Okay, so Chris has flanked. Okay, so
He's coming for that spear star.
so he, I guess, was probably predicting that Kari was going to die there, and managed to flank the Spear Star. So he doesn't get to attack, but he is engaged with them now. So
And since he's flanking like that, the spear star can't really like turn around or move much. Right.
they're
It's kinda stuck there.
pretty much stuck there. They could. It looks like they could go straight backwards, probably, unless the angle of that cavalry prevents it.
Oh, you can move backwards.
You can. So the 4-direction arrow,
Mhm.
that's a shift. So you can move sideways or
Oh,
backwards
we
or
saw
forwards with
some
that
of the.
one.
I think some of the archers did that earlier. I was gonna
Yeah.
ask how.
Yeah, so
what
you can
sorcery?
do that.
Wow.
Okay,
Things
so
is
the
that
Spear Star just killed
everything.
7 crossbowmen.
Sorry,
out of the front,
crossbowmen.
So,
I hope they were
yeah.
extra.
well, they were now.
So if you shift, can you charge off it? No, they're different colors.
Right.
Gotcha.
You'd have to have like a white charge modifier, which there is not one in the game, I don't think.
Gotcha. What is the white
Um,
shift modifier?
So the scouts, which they're not out yet
Mm-hmm.
for the humans, they'll be able to basically do anything on their dial and also take the reform.
Gotcha.
So they
Oh,
could
sorry, that's
so they
reform,
could
not shift.
move and reform at the end of it, or they could shift and reform, or even attack and reform if
So-
there were a case for that. Which
Yeah. But so that lets them move in really weird ways, basically.
yeah,
Gotcha. Because you can go wherever you, like, you can turn and then like flip around.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
yeah, they can do K turns.
Dalen Obero scouts.
Yep. All right, so Chris is shooting back with some crossbowmen here. Maybe deciding what to do with the dice.
Oh, apparently someone has a white charge.
Oh,
Says the
Eliana
chat.
has a white charge, does she? I have her dial right here. I don't know why I'm just
That's-
making things up.
I can make things
I'm
up
just
for you if
guessing.
you want.
So Eliana does have a white charge modifier, yeah. So she can shift charge, which is so she's like the most ridiculously maneuverable unit in the game. Like she can end up all sorts of wacky places, because she's got all her modifiers, all her movement modifiers are white. So
Oh, yeah, this
any
is-
move that she does, she can also do it. So she can do banked and turn shifts. She can do shift charges and all sorts of crazy things.
Whoa! Did the whole spear star just die when I looked away for 5 seconds?
Oh man, wait. So he's still got. Okay, so he pulled off a bunch of stuff. So his rune golem is still there, and at least
That's
a partial tray.
this rune
Yep. So
golem,
that's the
okay.
rune golem in the middle, and then
I'm
he's got
pointing
some
like other people
spearmen,
can see it,
right?
but-
And he's got some spearmen left there.
So he went as far as he could there without
Yep.
going off the board.
So yeah, so he tried to get his cavalry around. Again, they're not great at turning either. They're fast. They're
Yeah.
really fast, but
Right,
they're not
but
great
they're
at turning.
horses, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so he ran into the board edge, and so when you run into the board edge, you stop.
Do they have a turn at all?
No, so the only way he can get out of that is to reform them.
Gotcha.
So they're in a really bad spot.
Gotcha.
right now.
He was basically just hoping it would be enough that they.
Yeah.
Because if you knew that it wasn't going to fit, the only thing you can do is reform and
Right.
yeah. Gotcha.
So he was, I think he was
Give it
hoping
another
that he'd
shot.
get by there and be lined up to flank charge the back line of Chris's crossbows.
Because that would have been really good.
Yeah. But he's not. So next turn, if he wants to move him, he's pretty much, I would be surprised if he doesn't dial in a reform and get them lined up where he wants them.
There's some complicated geometry involved here.
Yes. Yeah, we had a situation in our last tournament where one of our players actually got their cavalry stuck.
Like they could never move.
Because they couldn't. Yeah, they got bumped in on a board edge and between something else where they couldn't fit a reform that would turn them away, and so they
How
just
is he
sat there.
doing? Is there an easy way to do what he's doing? Or-
So the way they tell you to do the reform is it rotates around the center of the unit. So he's putting his finger in the center of the tray to try and determine like which direction he wants to face.
Gotcha. That works way better than I ever would have expected.
Yeah, and it's not, the thing about Runewars is like it's not as precise as X-Wing in terms of movement. So there, most players are fairly forgiving if it slides a
things
little bit
happen,
one way or the
whatever.
other. But yeah, he's just figuring out how he wants to line up his cavalry now and try and get them in this fight. I think before.
We're attacking. It's happening. No.
So he's
we're
casting the
runes.
runes. So
And then dials are set, right?
yeah. And then,
Okay.
yeah,
So walk
this
me
is
through the casting the
unusual.
runes. What is that? What happens?
So at the start of each turn, the player with initiative recasts the runes, and there's 3 different symbols. And in this game, they probably don't have. So they affect Zeke's rune golem because part of what the rune golem does is dependent on the runes, but there are some games where they just don't really matter. But there are a lot of cards and units in the game that have effects based on the number of runes that are showing.
Gotcha. So basically, they change how good they are every turn, but everybody knows how good they are that turn.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's open information. So there are things like the trees, for example, base their defense on the runes that are showing. So the trees have variable defense.
Is there
based
a way
on
to
what's out
modify the
there.
runes that are showing?
There are. There's not a ton of it in the game right now. The elves, the Latari elves as a faction, have some rune manipulation. But it's not something we're seeing a lot of, at least in the tournaments and like league play that I've done so far.
It hasn't been too like effective.
No, it's kind of a weird mechanic, and it you have to give up a little something to do it, and so it doesn't seem to be. There's not enough in the game right now. Although the new faction that just came out, they have some stuff that that might be a little more, make you want to be able to manipulate the runes a little bit more. So they're starting to push more rune stuff into the game, and it's becoming more of a thing with each release. So I think, at least design wise, they're trying to make them a little more a part of what's a part of the gameplay.
Gotcha.
Because there are a lot of things that basically just ignore it. And I've played several games where I'm like, okay, well, I mean, we can throw these, but we don't really have to, because none of us have anything that are affected by it. Because really, like the cavalry, so I played mostly Dakan, these factions that we're seeing in this game, and so the cavalry, Hawthorne and Kari, the crossbowmen, they don't really have anything that depends, at least the way I've played them.
Oh, and since we're about to move, when things move in this, they actually do move down the template, right? This isn't X-Wing where you pick it up and put it up at the end.
Yes, they slide.
So they actually can't slide. Like, they can't bank there because they have to go forward first.
Yeah. So with the bank ones, you have to slide them along that. So you try to keep the edge aligned as much as possible and slide them along that.
Do you run it off the inside edge or the outside edge?
So you kind of notch it into the corner of the tray.
Mm-hmm.
So the templates all have a little notch that fits, like,
that little side of the tray, like with where the tray locks in. The template locks in.
Yep.
Well.
And so you just kind of notch it in there and slide the edge of your tray along.
Gotcha. As far as you can.
Along sort of the outside, the long edge of the banker turn.
Gotcha. So these are Chris's cavalry in the top right. Well, what is now the top right because everything's dead.
Yeah.
That are coming in behind the remnants of the Spear Star, which is the golem and the tray above it. And then these are archers that are directly above.
Those are spearmen.
Oh, okay. I thought they were archers.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Chris, he had. I'm guessing he's doing like
you're right.
a little railing spear unit that because he was keeping them near his Kari.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the typical things is you have a unit behind Kari that can keep her Fortuna's dice up or whatever she's using, and be just sort of a support unit for her. But now he's getting them into combat because he needed to.
Yeah, he needs them.
And flanking makes them. They're not terrible. Like if you can get them in a flanking position, they're threat 2 right now. They attack at initiative 3, which isn't bad. So depending on who has initiative this round, so they might get to swing before the Spear Star. Because basically, so we have 2 spear units engaged right now.
So is the only
but they get to
thing
add
that
an extra die.
At initiative 1 a podcast?
Yep. We are. Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yep. And 2 is So there is a 1 on the chart, but 2 is the lowest thing that exists right now.
Gotcha. So they started at 2, so they can go lower if they want.
Right. So we are the only initiative 1. Yep. So he managed to finish off the rest of that.
Those were crossbowmen, right?
Yep.
And then another row of crossbowmen behind them.
Yep.
Okay.
But Zeke might lose the rest of his Spear Star here, and Hawthorne.
So when he squares up like that, does it have to be against the bottom, or could he move it up like a tray if he wanted to?
He's attacking with Hawthorne. So basically, generally you try to. So when he runs into that, you try to square it up with like the tray that you're contacting more of.
The one you're closest to, basically. Okay. And it was like so obvious it was the bottom that it wasn't even worth.
Yeah. So he charged in there, killed 3 of the crossbows. So it'll be interesting to see what Chris dialed in, because now that he's engaged with Hawthorne, if he dialed in a ranged attack, he's not going to be able to do it.
Oh, really?
Because if he's engaged with somebody, he can't shoot somebody else, and you can't shoot you can't shoot in melee unless you have an upgrade that lets you do it.
Gotcha.
So there's a close quarters targeting that lets archers shoot.
Oh, I think we might be.
But he also he flank charged, so he's got them flanked because that's the back of them, and he charged, so he's going to get an extra die. So he's going to be rolling 3 reds and a blue, and he's got rank discipline, so he can reroll those. And so I see some symbols showing.
Yeah, the Runewars play area is so big that our camera is like
Yeah.
12,000 feet off the ground, so it's hard to see some of the like very specifics. So sorry about
Yeah.
that.
So there's some something going on there.
They're both looking at it like, huh?
Yeah.
So
What's going on? So I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to tell what's showing. They might be doing some math. So it looks like he's got at least maybe 3 or 4 showing, which would be... Okay, so they're probably deciding whether to kill whether he had enough damage to kill the golem outright or just kill the spears around it.
Gotcha. And when your unit takes damage, who decides where the damage goes?
So the attacker, like if trays are getting removed, the attacker decides which trays they want removed.
Gotcha. Because then you could start removing trays to make room for your other units
Yep.
to move through and everything. Gotcha.
And then in that case, the golem has its own defense value that's separate from the unit itself.
Mhm.
So the golems are naturally defense 4 and 2 wounds. But you have to have something called accuracy to apply damage to unit
I thought
upgrades.
those spearmen were facing the other
I
direction.
did too.
Wow. Okay. Unless you can't back up bank, can you? Is that what you just did?
The spearmen can't.
Okay. Gotcha.
They can shift, but they can't shift with a.
Okay. And how does
modifier, so-
reforming work when you're engaged? So can those horsey dudes? It's
Yeah,
still
horsey
early.
dudes.
The cavalry. Can
Yeah.
they? Okay, that answers my question.
Yep. So basically, as long as your final position,
Mhm.
so he's able to get his final position switched around.
Gotcha. So now they're
Like
no longer
that.
engaged. Do you,
Yeah.
like you said
So-
earlier, if you run away, you get like a panic token? Do you
So
get one
they
in this case?
so
or
they weren't engaged. It looked so he came up short. It looked like so they weren't
gotcha.
engaged.
Just barely.
Yeah, because otherwise, so you can't really turn. So if you did a reform,
Sorry,
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the rune rolled all the way around the bottom of the table and came up in the middle of it.
oh,
That's what Chris was looking incredulous about because they threw the runes out and
Oh, I
one
didn't
was just
see it.
rolling around the bottom of the table and landed
And then
like
rolled
up
right
there.
back. Yeah. So chat says, Chris, you should go through the different setups and objectives.
We were gonna go through. We have pictures.
So yeah, here I'm bumping the table.
Here you go. So here's
Yeah.
that.
So we've got there's a link that I can.
Yeah, I put it in the chat.
Oh, look, somebody's chatting in our. Well, sorry.
It's
If
deep,
you're-
insightful commentary
So
in the
if
chat.
if you're listening in the Initiative 1 chat, I saw that you made a comment, but I just saw it. I don't have any idea when you said that. But yeah, something is really fast going straight cavalry, I guess. So there's the link for our tournament pack for today. So that's
Man,
got
Zeke is-
all the deployments and objectives that we're using for our tournament today.
Zeke is like the world's fastest dial setter. It's amazing. He's-
Yeah,
Like the second,
He
like,
knows.
all right, I'm throwing the runes up. Okay, I'm done.
the man knows what he
Let's go.
wants.
He does. He's gonna take his spear star and he's gonna hurt you
Yeah.
with it.
Okay, so he was suggesting this as a reference while developing the X-wing objectives.
Ah.
Well, too late.
No.
no.
Indeed.
Yeah, I don't know. We didn't really consider any of these when we were looking at the X-wing stuff.
Yeah, we probably should have. Looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, there's some good stuff. There's some fun different kind of things that really change how you approach the.
Yeah, because
The
usually
game.
you pick these as part of your list, right? But here we're just saying.
So the
It's
way
these
standard
and these
tournaments
other-
work is you bring a deck,
Mhm.
and once you determine players, and basically you flip over cards from a deck until you've got 3 choices for each, and then based on first player, you make picks of either deployment or objectives. So normally it's there's a little bit of randomization there, and you bring your own terrain as well.
Yeah, but you try to bring stuff that's advantageous to you, basically.
Yeah, so you would want to bring, I mean, at least terrain-wise, you want to bring stuff that works well with what you're trying to do. But in this case, where it's decided, then...
Did they know what they were going to be coming in? Like,
Yeah, so Shane, he does a good job of getting these up fairly early. So, like, once
I just meant, like, so they could tailor their list to the list of things they know they'll play.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So you could
That's
try to
interesting.
you could try to kind of tailor this, but the thing is the objectives are so different that there's
Mhm.
not really a good build that
Yeah,
covers
it's hard to-
everything. Yeah.
That all sounds very familiar.
Yeah.
That's cool though, because it just means that naturally, different things will be good. So everybody has a different, like it's
Yeah.
not the same thing every month. We can kind of mix it up.
Right. Yeah, this second round with place the explosives will be interesting.
This is a complicated setup.
Yeah, it
we'll
is.
get the pictures up after this round
Yep.
finishes up. But and there's only like 15 minutes left, I think.
What do we have 24
25
minutes. Yeah. Which, although this game might not go to time.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's not much left on this board.
This has
They've
been
got
a little bit of a bloodbath
A
over
3
here.
by 6 square foot space to play with, and they don't need
They're
it.
all- no.
But so I'm just the game obviously doesn't end this round. But
Yeah.
if it did, Zeke gets points for that cavalry unit that's in Chris's starting area, right? And that's the only
Yes.
thing that the objective would matter for.
Yes, right now that would be the only. So he'd score an extra 20 points for that.
Gotcha.
But I think there's going to be some more stuff dying before we're done
Yeah.
here.
And it looks like Zeke. I don't know the point values of things, the relative unit strength, but it looks like he's in a really good position from here, right?
So so his Hawthorne is, who's attacking right now, is fairly expensive, and his cavalry.
Because we have the on the back. I'm just gonna read the
Yeah.
scoring because I don't actually know how it
Yeah.
works. So, scoring is total army point value of opponent's remaining units,
Yeah, it's.
and subtracting the points that you lost, and then adding. All right, never mind. You
Yeah.
tell me. I'm
So
in.
Zeke just killed some more cavalry. So what he's doing there is, since he killed that tray no longer exists.
Mhm.
But because the unit still exists, his Hawthorne stays engaged. So
Gotcha.
he just slides him over.
Basically, he's just carving
Yeah.
through it.
And they're not picking the tray up because at this point, like,
yeah,
who cares? Normally you would.
Whoa! How
Um,
I don't understand these spearmen.
I don't know what he's doing.
So,
So
either
they
can-
must be facing that way. I don't know what he was doing last turn. Then I don't know what that was
Can
about.
they move backwards?
They can move straight backwards.
This is the wrong.
I'm confused.
Where'd they
So, okay. So did he just shift them backwards? I guess he must have, right? Are those spearmen? Or are those archers? I don't know what's going on. Maybe they are archers.
I
You
thought
might have
they
been
were
right all
archers.
along.
I knew all along, Josh. The Runewars
Yeah.
master.
I just assumed they were spearmen because they were set up behind Kari,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of I just assumed that because that's what I had been doing until lately. But they might be archers. That might be just a 2-tray elf archer unit.
Gotcha. So then he put them in front of the cavalry just to make their life harder last turn, basically.
Yeah. But then he didn't want to get them. He's hoping to not get them charged. But
Yeah. I don't think
from
there's
there,
an
the
escape.
cavalry can hit them. Okay, so now
well, they might
Chris-
hit this other set of tray of crossbow,
Yeah, it depends
right?
on what they did.
Yeah.
So Chris is swinging with his cavalry that's behind the rune golem. So the rune golem's the only thing left in that unit now.
Yeah.
Their defense 4 and 2 wounds.
And is the rune golem like actually a good unit on its own, or is
No,
it just
it's
there
terrible.
to make the?
It's awful.
It's just there to make the math
Yeah.
of the spear star work.
Yeah. The solo rune golem is
Just garbage.
hot garbage.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's just their dial is awful. Like,
Gotcha.
I mean, you can look like just on this. You can see like
Oh,
how
wow,
few
there's-
symbols there are on that dial.
It's the Lambda shuttle of Rune Wars. That's amazing. It's already my favorite unit.
Yeah.
Look at it. It's ridiculous looking.
Yeah. But basically, so the difference with this is they act as. So because they're in the spear star, they basically act as an. Yes, carrion lance. Yes, chat is correct. Carrion lancer is far superior.
Don't you
to
talk
the
bad about my golem. That golem is my boy.
Yeah.
He has a family.
Yeah. So the rune golem. Pull this up so you can look at. Thank you, Runewars Wiki. So
Oh, there's an
basically, so
upgrade.
instead of actually having the figure in there, he has this upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing that increases its threat. But basically, it's like he turned some of his, he put this, I don't know, this giant trebuchet or whatever that is in
Gotcha.
the front. So it's a siege thing that he's put in the front of his unit, basically in place of 4 of the spearmen.
Gotcha.
So it acts as a spear unit.
I mean, all I'm saying
So
is
he's not. So
the chat said the cavalry were better than the rune golem, but all I see are dead cavalry and no rune golem
It's a lot.
stands.
Yeah. Yeah, the golems are super. They do look cool when you paint them, but they're just awful on their own. But
No, it's
but this
everything-
rune golem is not. So
I
when
don't-
it's alone, it's not acting. It's not this dial. It's
Gotcha.
acting as a spearman.
Gotcha. So it has.
So
the
he's
spearman
still
die.
setting a spearman dial
Yeah.
for the rune golem, but it does have the rune golem defense.
Gotcha. And he is apparently good at killing cavalry. So
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. So Chris has to do at least 4 in a turn to even put a wound on it, and it takes 2 wounds. So it's basically if he gets 8 damage outright, it will kill it.
Can't believe our chat's talking bad about the golem. You're all
They're
monsters. What's wrong with you?
But on their like just as a solo unit.
Oh, hey, I
Okay,
think these
so he
crossbowmen.
flank charged the crossbowman, which is.
That's
has a-
actually kind of unfortunate, right? Because he'd want to hit these guys so he could flank the crossbowmen next turn. Because now they're facing the wrong way.
They are facing the wrong way.
And
but
what's his
he
name?
is.
Can't get Hawthorne can't like move through.
Right,
I assume he
but
can't move through friendly units.
I was about
right?
to say he's probably going to kill that. Yeah, so you can move if it was only be 1 tray that overlaps, you can, and you would clear it. You can move through a friendly unit.
Okay, so they can bank
So
again here, for instance.
if-
It's probably better to not. But
Yeah, so if they go straight and get past Hawthorne, they could clear that.
Mhm.
It looks like, because it
But-
looks like
oh, but
only
they
that
couldn't
far
bank
tray.
because they'd
But
be
then
able
they'd
to-
have multiple trays that would be passing over. So
Gotcha.
they wouldn't be able to pull off a bank. Yeah, now they're in front of in front of Chris's mystery unit.
Which
Yeah.
is he has that unit and then half a tray of cavalry left because of the rune
Yeah.
golem, which you're all talking so bad about.
Because it's not actually a rune golem. It's
Yes,
a,
it is.
It's,
Look at him. It's a
4,
rune golem.
It's 4
Josh,
spearmen
I don't
riding
need this
on a
from
rune
you.
golem. Chat says golem in group is equivalent of adding an HLC to a ship.
No, it's a rune golem.
golem.
Now you're gonna tell me that a lambda doesn't count if it's an HLC lambda. No, it's still a golem.
So yeah, so I don't. So Zeke is definitely ahead on points at this point.
Gotcha. And he has stuff in his opponent's deploy.
Yeah.
So all of that sounds good.
So that might be. I mean, he might not worry about trying to get the cavalry re-engaged here,
And
and
just
might
keep
just keep
20
them.
points. So how many points is 20 points? How much does that matter?
So if you look at the tournament scoring, which we gave up on. So this is the tournament points. So basically, what you're calculating is you're comparing. It's similar to X-wing in that you're comparing points left on the board, and you're comparing the difference to get an MOV.
Gotcha. So it's really more like Armada scoring, right?
Yeah.
Where you at different ranges you get
Yep.
different.
So
amounts
the
of
higher, the
points.
bigger the MOV, the more points you get. So, so if Zeke gets 2 units in there, I mean that's 40 points. So that can take you, let's say he's got a 6-5 win. It's going to jump him up to a 7-4.
Gotcha. But it might
Or
be-
potentially even into. So it can't jump him a full 2 units wouldn't jump him a full. A
70
full
points.
sort of section of stuff
8 points.
because they're 39-point spreads except for the top end and bottom end. Those cavalry are dead.
You know why?
So-
Do you know why, Josh? Do you know who killed those cavalry? Because I
Yeah.
know.
Some spearmen.
No, it was our boy, the rune golem.
So
War hero, and you're all
Yeah.
speaking bad about him.
So 20 points is not insignificant. It's enough to jump you. Like if you're close to one of the tiers, it can jump you up a tier.
But looking at the other ones, for example, 20 is that so that's 20 per unit. Like the place the explosives
Yeah.
next time is 75, but I assume it's just
Yeah.
one person gets it once.
Yeah, so place the explosives is kind of a goofy one, but basically you have 2 units that have an objective token on each. So each side has 150 points of objective tokens on the board,
Sorry, I'm watching the archer shoot
and
here.
and you can score it by running into terrain. So basically, your units that got the explosive, you run them into a terrain, and it blows up the terrain, and then you score the points because you got the bombs to the thing.
Gotcha.
But you can only score one of them. So if you blow up one of yours, then your other objective token is gone. So each player can potentially score 75 of their 150 that are on the board.
Yeah. Oh.
But 75 is a big number.
Yeah, I mean, that was almost 2 points for the final score, and they only went up to what, 10? 9? 10.
So it goes up to 10. Yeah, it's always some combination of 11.
So this is these archers against the world now.
Yep.
And there is a rune golem on Chris's side, so that looks unwinnable. But I mean, at this point, is he so far behind that you just run and try to keep your points, or is he like you try to get him to the exact
I think
objective
probably
zone?
probably you try to keep that unit alive and just get them out of there. I mean, if you can get them into Zeke's deployment, great. Yeah, so he's just moving his
Yeah, he's
forces
like,
there.
hey,
Be
give me
sure
your
that they're
points.
in there, and he's probably going to run his other units up there as well to just. I mean, that's 60 points.
Yep.
For free, and
And the
Chris
archers
probably doesn't want to engage with those guys.
The archers are probably not worth 60 points, right?
No, definitely not.
Are they worth 40 points? I guess that's the difference. If he killed them,
No.
because that's 20
They're-
points Chris would get.
Depending on, I'm not
And
sure
Zeke
what
gets
he's got
60
on them,
here.
but they're in the 20s. So he
The
is going to
archers are
shoot.
attacking. Get them, archers.
But he's not going to have time to kill those guys. They roll 2 blues, which are a little more consistent. Like they have more sides with symbols, but
Not high
okay. So
damage.
he's going to kill 2
Yeah, he's
horses.
got a tray.
Yep.
And do you get points for killing a tray of units, or do you have to kill the entire unit?
So you don't have to kill. You don't have to kill the entire unit. So the way the
Oh, our audio is quiet.
Our audio's low. apparently.
That is a solvable problem. Ish. Actually,
Maybe.
here. Boom.
We move it closer.
Problem solved.
I could also talk louder. So the way the points work is as long as the unit is alive, you get their upgrade points at the end of the game. The points you get for the unit depends on how many trays are left and depends on the unit itself. So basically you go to the nearest full size available. So let me see if I can pull one up here. So I'll pull up just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So the cavalry, for example.
I saw the rune golem we skipped.
Yeah, I
my
skipped
boy.
So they have point costs associated with their tray size, and so Zeke, for example, he's got that 4 tray cavalry, but now he's only got 3 trays left. So they're worth.
So there's some
what is
serious
this?
tournament math and how things.
So
die.
they're worth
Gotcha.
that many points now because he's
Gotcha.
not a full 4. So
Okay.
you would go down to the next one.
So when he brought it down from 5 to 4, he scored 12 points basically.
So he had 4. He went from 4 to 3.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry.
And that gained him 14 points.
Gotcha. But if he does another one to it, it's still 2, so it's not worth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So
Oh,
killing another tray is not going to change anything in terms of points. Okay. I don't know what's going on there.
Hopefully the audio is a
Yeah.
little better now.
Yeah,
It's,
is that-
that's actually as loud as I can turn it up without
that any
shutting the
better?
stream down. Which we can do in between rounds if we need to, but I'd like to
Yeah.
avoid it if we can.
If you're going.
Agreed. Correct. I don't know if that's true, but it's true now.
Yeah. All right. So that looks like game over for
Yeah.
them.
They
So-
probably just agreed to call it there.
Yeah.
screwed
Or
up
that
around
could have
cover.
been the end of. Well, that could have been the end
Oh.
of turn 8.
Yeah, there's only 8
So if
turns.
that was the end of turn 8 for them, which probably was, then I'm sure Zeke is ahead on points. I mean, he did get. I don't know. Did that rune? They picked up their markers, so I don't know if that rune golem made it. But he definitely got at least 40, maybe 60 points of objectives by getting his units in there at the end. And the archers, what's their? I forget what their base point cost is. It's in the. Let's see. So he had a Deepwood Archer as a 2 tray. So their base cost is 17. So I don't know what upgrade he had on them. Maybe Tempered Steel. But yeah, he's no more than like in the mid 20s of points at the most from his archers. So just, I mean, archers. Yeah, so Zeke, I mean, he definitely won.
By a decent margin at that.
So that might be, I mean, he could be into potentially 8-3 territory.
Yeah. This is a 2-round tournament, so it matters a lot how big the margin of victory is there. Or, yeah, how many tournament points you get, I guess, which is your margin of victory. Because it was if there are more than 9 people, it's 3 rounds, but otherwise it's just 2, which makes sense because if there's 7 people, there will be 1, maybe 2 people that are 2-0.
Yeah, and the MOV will separate it out. So even if even if they end up tied in tournament points, then you'll it's extremely unlikely that the MOV will be tied.
Yeah.
And then
even if it is strength of schedule, somebody get out the calculator.
Yep. But I think and Shane's using War Score for this just because he's very familiar with it, and that does all that stuff for him. So he just got to plug everything in, and we'll see what it says.
So there's 10 minutes left in the round. I don't know if they'll start the next one if everyone finishes earlier than that, or is there? I guess we should put up a time for when round 2 will start.
Yeah.
But all we can do is guess.
Yeah, and we're gonna see if I don't know if they're gonna take a quick food break here, or if they're just gonna go right into round 2. We'll see.
Gotcha. I'll go ask Shane. Actually, round 2 starts ?
Sometime soon.
Ish.
Maybe.
It will start eventually. I'll just put soon for now.
Yeah.
Well, let's not needlessly confuse our watchers. As much as I love doing that.
Yeah.
There is a quick lunch break.
Okay.
Which
All right.
sounds fantastic. I'm super in.
So we're taking a lunch break. So everybody who's watching, you can take a lunch break too.
Yep.
Yep. So probably 20 to 30 minutes or so. We'll be
after the end of the round.
Yeah, after the end of the round, which is another 7 minutes away. So 6 minutes now.
We'll bring the stream back up by like 1:20-ish, I would assume.
Yeah.
Seems safe.
But
I'm sorry.
But something.
Agreed, but.
Oh, sorry.
Eat again.
Sorry. Yeah, have a snack.
Don't. All right, that's a mistake. I'll leave the text scaled properly. There we go. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You want to go grab some food?
Yeah. So
I'll leave this running and
cool.
just.
Yeah. So thanks for everybody who's watching so far, and glad we have some people checking it out.
Yeah. Hope you guys
And
are enjoying it.
we'll be back for round 2, which is going to be interesting. There will be bombs.
Please no, I thought I was safe.
Nope.
I
There's
thought
bombs.
I was safe, Josh.
But they can't blow up other
space.
units. They can only blow up terrain.
Okay. Seismic bombs.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
So we'll be back in a little bit.
Sounds good.
I lied. I'm sorry. We'll be back at like 1:35. There's a longer lunch break than I expected. Okay, 135, 140. It's all the same. Whatever. Time casual. So we are back. Josh is grabbing lists, I believe. And we'll get going in just a second. Let me fix the names as well. I'll get those back up when we... Oh! Hey, this is easy. Zeke's back. Excuse me. And I'm not sure who Zeke is playing. But we'll take a look in just a second. I'll go ahead and grab the objective for this round while we're waiting as well. So it's place the explosives and place the explosives, I guess. Oh, it's never mind. It's a... I don't know how or why, but they're both the deployment and the objective is the same card. So I'll get that on screen in just a second. There we go. Get that somewhere useful. And update the time. Thanks for sticking around. Sorry about the break and such. Hope you had a nice lunch. Because we did. Got some Taco Bell. It was fantastic. Alright, so there is... That printout is actually where we just grabbed the place the explosives from that picture. That is what they're looking at. That's full screen. I'm going to grab some water and be right back.
So they are going to do 3 rounds.
Oh, okay.
But if you want to stick around that
Oh, no. I'm down to stick around.
Oh! It's more time to be tempted to buy Girl Scout cookies.
Yep.
They're going to make so much money if they come by next
They
week.
really are.
Oh my god. So I see... Let me get this. So Zeke's staying around.
Yep, and then JJ.
Yeah, I need... Oh, spelling. I don't...
2 J's.
Oh, that's easy. It's, I think it's suspect. Collusion. Very suspect. JJ on table 1. I see through the lies of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Alright. So I already got the objective thing up.
Yeah.
So this one has... So it's placed the explosives on both sides. So is this one where
Yes.
you have to use them together, or how does that work?
So, yeah, so this is a special one that has... the objective has its own deployment that goes with it.
Gotcha. So if it's placed the explosives, it's always this deployment.
Yes. You could, I mean, if you were randomizing it, I guess you could play it. I mean, if you're playing a casual game, you could play it that way if you wanted. You could play the explosive objective with some other deployment, but it might be weird.
Yeah. But like in
Because-
a tournament, they're always together. Is that how it
Yeah,
works?
so
Okay.
so this is the one. So FFG sends out in the kit. They send. So this is for this tournament. So the kit that's out right now
so
has
it's not,
these in it.
Gotcha. So it's not like place the explosives
Yeah.
comes with like, all right, you bought this
Right.
expansion, it comes with place the
Yeah. So
explosives.
each kit comes with its own objective
Oh, that's
and
interesting.
and
Okay.
deployment.
So they can mix it up as often as they want,
Yep.
basically. That's cool.
Yeah.
Because like Imperial Assault does, you know, like, oh, I bought Alliance Rangers. It has this mission in it. All right,
Yeah.
that one's in the rotation now.
Yeah,
This
so
is just like
and
this
it,
month
and it's
it's
the same.
the
And
explosions.
the units do have their own with them as well.
Mm-hmm.
So when you buy a new box of stuff, they'll have some that come with it. But then the tournament kits
Also
have one that. The
That's
idea is to use it at some point in the tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are a couple that are that way. Yes, there are other matches right now.
Yeah, they're all.
So we've got 3 games going on right now.
Because Chris from the last round has the bye,
Yes.
which is
So
but we're doing 3 rounds, so it's less sad now.
yes. So we are going 3 rounds today. Even though like tournament structure would say all the players want to play 3. And
Yeah, this way there's an undefeated player,
Yeah.
which is nice.
So
Though I
yeah,
guess
so
the
we'll be
undefeated
around
player
for a
doesn't
while.
necessarily win; they just probably do.
Right. I have not finished first as an undefeated player before in a Runewars tournament.
Strong.
Yep. I won both games, but somebody else won them better than I did.
Yeah. Gotcha. So you're 2-0 and like a.
Or actually,
6-1
no.
score.
It was actually the person
let me
I
start typing these. Sorry.
yeah the person I beat won the tournament because I won both my games narrowly, and they lost narrowly, but won in a blowout in their other one. So I had 2 6-5 wins, so I had 12 tournament points, and the person I beat had the 6-5 loss to me, so they got 5 points from that, and then had a 9-2 win, so they had 14 points.
Gotcha.
So sometimes you can go 1-1 and beat somebody who's 2-0. Yeah, so we're working on getting the lists in the kind of sidebar there. So we might be chatting about.
Yeah,
what
I'm
we're
sure I
doing there
will
for a minute,
spell
'cause
some
I
things
just-
horribly here.
And
don't
also, I
worry.
was trying to write them quickly, so some things I just.
All right, so
abbreviated.
Hawthorne has Reaping Blade.
Yep.
Cool.
This is Zeke's list. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yep. JJ also has a Hawthorne though, so.
Oh, cool.
Yep, and hers is just no upgrades.
Okay.
Just Hawthorne.
Um,
And then she's got Kari. And the Wraith Step is the upgrade.
Wraith Step. Okay, and then she has an LH.
Oh yeah, that's Hawthorne, Lord Hawthorne.
Oh, okay.
So
Spearman.
she's got a six tray Spearman.
How do I?
Yeah.
6X Spearman.
Yeah,
Seems good.
that works.
Okay.
And they have Citadel Weapons Master, so.
I'm in. I love the Citadel.
Yeah.
Right. And I'll resize this so it doesn't
Yeah.
look bad in a second, chat.
And then she has a 4-tray Deepwood Archers, which is the Elf Archers.
Yeah, and those are trays, right? So it's
Yeah,
6X
it's 4
Spearman
yep,
is actually
6 trays.
6 trays, and
For
each tray is
Spearman.
4 Spearmen?
Yep.
Okay, so it's actually 24
It's,
Spearmen.
yeah, it's 24 dudes.
Gotcha.
6 trays.
The Deepwood Archers have Dispatch on them?
Dispatch Runner.
Dispatch
yeah.
Runner. Cool.
Yeah. And then a 6-tray Cavalry.
Oh, okay. I was like, cat. What is a cat?
Cav. Yeah.
6 tray cavalry.
With Raven Tabards.
Okay, and let's make that actually fit in this space.
Yeah. So yeah, actually, and I've played against this list from JJ, and it's actually really clever because she's got Dispatch Runner on the archers, which lets either her Dispatch Runner allows you to basically attack twice. They can grant another attack to another unit. And so, if she keeps them within range of both her cavalry and her spears, she can have them do 2 attacks per round, one or the other, which is pretty effective. So it's a really, really clever list. And then she's got the 2 heroes in there, just running around doing hero things.
Sorry, I'm not super used to OBS Studio. I wasn't ready for this to be a complicated thing to do. Can I decrease the font size? Yes, that's the solution to my problems. Too small. 24. We're probably good to make it 30 and then do some abbreviation. Yeah, that should work. All right, so everyone will know what Citadel weapons means, right?
Yeah.
Let's go Citadel weapon. And just archers. Are there more than one type of archers?
Yeah. Well, you can just make it archers. That's fine.
All right. There we
You can
go.
just call them archers or crossbowmen.
Now it fits.
Yeah. Look at that. Beautiful.
Let's not get carried away. It fits. And we want this right aligned. Okay. And this side.
And then
is
Zeke. Yep.
So, he has
So yeah, for anybody who watched round 1, Zeke. So he has Reaping Blade on his Hawthorne.
So
which
that's
is
why you
why
hit like
he
a
was
truck?
actually doing damage.
Gotcha.
He didn't have enough points for the shield, and that's Might of Dakan, D-A-Q-A-N. Yeah, my handwriting's terrible.
And a nine tray?
He's got, so the Spearman is, the Spear Star is that
Gotcha.
9 tray. And he has Citadel Weapons Master on his Spearman, which is interesting. That's a little different than some other people run their Spear Star.
FLR.
Yeah, that's Frontline Rune Golem.
Rune Golem.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep.
Oh, crossbow.
And then he's Crossbowman ×3.
With rallying.
That's Rallying Cornison. Yeah, Rallying.
We're gonna go rallying. That sounds good. And
rank Discipline. Yep. Yeah. And then he's got the 4 tray Cavalry.
That's right.
And MCW is Mastercrafted Weapons.
Mastercraft, because it'll fit.
Yep. And Moment of Inspiration.
Okay.
So yeah, that's why Zeke's Hawthorne was
Doing
I
work.
talked to him between rounds, and he didn't have points for the shield. He's at 199, and JJ's at 200. So Zeke has a 1 point bid, so he'll get the choice of what he wants to do here, and so he'll determine who the first player is. In this case, it's not. There's usually like a little more choice, but since things are already kind of laid out, the first player. So that's why they were tossing a coin before the last round.
Gotcha.
They
Same
must
point
have
total?
been at 200, and we're deciding who was going to be the first player.
It's dramatically less likely that you have the same bid at 200.
Yeah. So in this case, since there's not a choice of, you're not choosing out of 3, basically the second player just chooses the deployment area, and the first player gets the other one.
And again, I'll go adjust the camera to wherever things are actually happening, so
Yeah.
hopefully it'll be a little more visible. There we are.
So, and I also confirmed it. So if you were watching last round, I talked to Shane, who's running the tournament and also making judge calls today, about the weird squaring up stuff that happened in that match. They just had a lot of stuff that was in the way, but the reason that Zeke's 4-tray Cav didn't square up coming out of the terrain was because of the archers. So normally, like when you get a unit engaged, it would square up, whether it's a charge or a move. He just couldn't do it because the archers were out too far. So he did contact Kari, but then wasn't able to swing around. And that's what happened those other 2 times they called him. They were telling me, I was talking to both those guys after the game, and they were saying, every time they called Shane over, it was because they couldn't figure out how the square up would work. They had a lot of collisions in tight quarters in that game. So that's what was going on there. They didn't have room to finish that out. But there should be some collisions with terrain in this game because we have bombs.
No, save me. Save me.
Yeah. So they place the explosives. So this one's kind of weird in that you have this little gap between your deployment area.
Yeah, and it's a range ruler wide, that gap?
So that is, yes, the width of a range ruler. Okay.
Actually, it's hard to read on the printout.
Yeah.
Give it a shot.
So.
Because it's interesting, because the setup is starting with a player who did not choose this card.
Yeah.
Neither of them chose it.
Right.
So
in this case, this is kind of goofy because of the way this works. So the second player is the one who's choosing the deployment. So it will be the second player who decides first.
Gotcha.
Which unit is going to be an objective. So you have to nominate them before or during setup. So before all this stuff starts, you say, all right, these are my 2 units that are going to do this. And one of your one of your pieces of terrain has to touch your deployment area. Now that could be the long one or the short one. And so I think part of the reason why there's that little gap is you could stick a piece of terrain in there. And just be like, all right, my guys are just going to run in this gap and blow it up. And
Gotcha. Because somebody has to place their terrain first, right? And that kind of dictates how everything's going to go down.
Yep. So there will be one piece of terrain that doesn't have to be in contact with a deployment area. So this one's kind of a weird setup.
Yeah, so I mean, basically, they're both trying to get to this thing with their special unit.
Yeah.
And
so whichever one they nominate, they definitely want them to be able to crash into a piece of terrain.
Yeah.
So, assuming they're able to pull it off, there will only be one piece of terrain out there.
At the end of the game.
At the end of the game, yeah.
So would you want that to be like Zeke has that, thing of 4 cavalry. They're pretty fast. Do you just go and blow it up and try to bring them back in time for them to still help with the fight? Or is it more important to fight and then go blow it up when you've already won the fight?
So, I mean, I think if I'm playing this one, I try to get that objective done. Because if you say, well, I'm just going to run at my opponent and get tied up and try to kill their things while they're trying to do the objective,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 75 points is a lot.
Yeah. Because the lists are 200, right?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's a big chunk of points. And you don't want to give up the chance of being like, oh, well, my unit is going to die before they get to blow my piece up or something like that. So I definitely think you want to make a plan to achieve the objective on your way to whatever engagement you have in mind, if you can.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can drop something right in front. And so I think that's probably what Zeke is doing. He put that little blue obelisk thing right in front of his deployment zone. He's probably just going to try to run over that.
Did Shane make all of these for Runewars? Because they match the aesthetic of the mats and everything really well.
They do. Not all of them are made for Runewars. They're just part of the collection here.
Mm-hmm.
I know he has been working on some stuff specifically for the game, but they have a lot of forest stuff that matches well with this. Yeah, this is the official FFG mat for this game. But I think he also picked, if you could see the other ones we've got a desert scene and a snowscape, and
Gotcha.
So I think we have some other ones where we're just using pieces of felt that kind of match the aesthetic.
Yeah,
but he tries to do themed tables, which is cool, and it adds to the the flavor a little bit. But yeah, it just happened that they have some nice forest pieces that match well with
really
the game.
well.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think that's probably what Zeke has in mind, is just running over that thing. They'll stop when they hit it, and it'll blow up. So it's kind of one turn where they're not going to move very far.
Yeah.
But then after that,
does your unit blow up with it or anything?
no,
or? Okay.
it just they chuck the bomb into the train and blow it up.
Yep. Look at that tray of things. That is very cool.
So she's got JJ's got some of her cavalry painted, and it's kind of hard to tell. Well, yeah, some of them are various colors. I was talking to her when we were playing one night, and while she's painting, she lets her daughter paint as well.
Uh-oh.
So some of them are just sort of myriad colors,
Mm-hmm.
but they look cool. And then I stole that idea, and I had my daughter paint. She sits at the table while I'm painting, and I just give her whatever color she wants, and she just
she just goes.
But man, she paints them a lot faster than I do.
I bet. You should steal some of those methods.
Yeah, it's a nice way to get some color in your army really easily and quickly. Just give a kid some paint.
All right, it looks like I'm going to go tilt the camera very up.
Okay, yeah, they're kind of setting up there. So they're starting to deploy. JJ's got her big cavalry, which Raven Tabard's on the cavalry. I like a whole lot, actually. I don't run it in my army because I don't have the points, but man, being able to move at initiative 2 is pretty sweet. And just bumping all those down a little bit, I think is really nice on them, especially against opposing cav. She's just going to run them right up. She's going to be able to run them right up into their face and potentially, threaten to charge them before they can charge her, which is nice. So I think that's a really cool bit of tech on the cav. I always take mine with rank discipline just because the rerolls are awesome, but Raven Tabards is a good upgrade on them as well, especially if you're kind of tight on points. And if they get to attack twice, then they're still putting out some decent damage anyway. Looks like JJ is setting her archers up to run into that terrain. So I'm guessing her archers probably have a bomb. And yeah, Zeke is trying to fit his... Okay, so isn't able to fit his Spear Star in there, maybe where he wanted them. So he's going to put him outside of that piece of terrain and check and make sure that he's going to be able to get past it. So it looks like he might be intending to engage the cavalry with them right off the bat, or at least head that direction.
Okay, hopefully that's a little more visible.
Yeah.
We're a little more zoomed in now too, so let's see
Okay.
better. And we can use that bottom space for some graphics.
All right.
I'll just leave that up for now.
Yeah, we can put all sorts of fancy
Put wherever we
pictures
want
up
there.
at the bottom.
Let me go see if the round time started. Not yet.
So I was just commenting on the setup here, and I'm guessing JJ probably put a bomb on those archers, and she's just going to run them into that terrain and blow it up. And
Zeke was
it'll be
very
out of the way.
sad that his Spear Star didn't fit in
Okay,
there.
so I was commenting on that too. I was like, he was trying to fit that Spear Star in there, and it just didn't.
The quote
So-
was, "How bad is this? Oh, pretty bad." Okay.
Yeah, he definitely wanted them there.
Yep.
Couldn't quite fit him. So, yeah, I don't know if he had something different probably had something different in mind when he set up that terrain. But then when JJ set up right across from it, which was smart on her part. Like, if she saw that they weren't able to fit in there, then that's a great spot for the Cav because it makes him kind of have to go wide around it.
Yep. Oh, and I mean,
To get
it's hard
there.
for him to bank over that terrain too,
Yep.
right? Like he has to go straight and then turn.
Yeah, from where he is, he's gonna have to do a straight maneuver to clear the front of his tray past that terrain before he can start turning in. So yeah, definitely wanted his Spear Star to fit in that space, and they don't.
So how did that objective or the obstacle placement work there? So Zeke put down the tree forest first, and then she put down the obelisk part?
So
or did she do
JJ put that one that's in front of her
both? Mhm.
area, but I don't know if now I don't remember because I wasn't paying close enough attention if the obelisk went down first or the trees went first.
Gotcha. Well, we can just give her full credit and say it was part of the master plan.
Yep. Yeah, she's a very good player, so I think she's used the terrain to her advantage here to create not great lanes for Zeke to have
I
to
like
go
the
through.
angle on that's Kari, right?
Yep.
Behind the. Oh, I should put a space.
Yeah, is it? Well, I don't know if that's Kari or no, that's Hawthorne.
Oh, okay.
Got the kind of the rearing horse
Is that
there.
Kari that's in front of the spearman tray there? Then at the very
Kari,
top of it?
yeah, looks
Okay.
like Kari's right there next to the spearman or the archers. That's her archers. in the middle there, which makes sense. So she's got her ranged units next to each other, so they can just kind of move forward and start shooting. But
and I take it you can shoot while you're on a terrain thing.
Yes, and the way terrain works is if your unit is in it, they can measure range from any edge of the terrain.
Oh, wow.
So they can shoot in any direction, whereas normally they're restricted to that arc.
Yeah, so basically it makes them longer range and omnidirectional.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So being in terrain is great for archers and range units in general. But yeah, JJ also did a nice job here of setting up the bulk, like her entire army, in the space that kind of forced Zeke to use the small part of his deployment. So he had to kind of crowd a lot of units in that little block in the corner, which isn't great for him. He probably wants more room to work, but again, he was forced with the choice of like either cramming him in there or putting them way wide, and having to cover a lot of ground to try to get to JJ, which would give her a turn or two of being able to set up her units in a good way to make a favorable engagement for her.
Right.
So he probably doesn't really want to be pinned in that corner. So, I mean, if I were giving, points for setup game, then I think JJ, unless Zeke knows something I don't know. It looks like
he's
JJ.
got the rune golem. He knows something everybody doesn't know. Even during the lunch break, all anybody did was talk bad about rune golems. They're all monsters.
Yeah, we were all eating lunch.
Chris, that was not even a rune golem. It's a rune golem. Look at him. It's a spearman. No, it's not. It's a rune golem.
It's like, so it would be like if you took...
He's gonna tell me why rune golems aren't people.
We're making an analogy. So if you took your Lambda shuttle, and
which I'd love to do,
right, and you use the Lambda dial and the Lambda stats, but you put a silencer on top of the peg.
That seems really fair, and also like something
would
would do.
It would look like a silencer, but act like a Lambda. That's kind of what. Or no, wait, I have that.
No, I'm super in.
No, I have it backwards.
That means the rune golem's great.
No, you put the Lambda on the silencer peg. And so the spearmen are not the silencer. They're not nearly that good on their own, but. Basically, you take a good ship and use its stats, but put a bad ship on the peg, and that's
Are you calling Lambdas bad now too? Are you starting a war with with Lambdas and rune golems? Yeah. You're a monster.
Yeah, I don't care whoever won, whatever that was, the Yor quick draw Inquisitor that won recently. Yeah, Yor's bad. I don't care. No, it's not. That's not true.
Apparently, Jabba the Hutt's the new meta. So, what does anybody know?
Oh, yeah. If you're not paying attention to the... Are they streaming that?
No.
Okay.
Aaron couldn't make it.
There's secret stuff going on in Maryland.
Yeah. Hey, the round started.
Everyone will find out soon.
So I got to do some math.
86 minutes. An hour 26, so 3:33.
I'm going to choose to believe you, and that way, if it's wrong,
it's my fault. Yep. All right, so they've started putting some dials down.
Oh, that's not where I want. All right, it's beautiful. It's just
that's
there
fine.
the entire time.
I think that looks good.
Sorry, editing is proving difficult. Click this. There we go. That's roughly centered. Okay.
All right. Hi, 12 viewers. How's everybody
doing?
This looks
like it's going to be a very honorable joust. I don't know that it's going to last for 90 minutes.
This one, this may also be one that does not go to time.
Or the round limit or whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, it could potentially not even go 8 turns.
Just take away.
I have those also. Yeah, it might not go the full 8 turns if they just kind of smash into each other and start killing things. Which
is it also true in Runewars? If 2 people joust, one of them's probably wrong?
Yep. Okay. Yep, I think that's probably the case.
It looks like Zeke's going to joust here and he doesn't want to. Or at least he wants to, but not on these terms.
Yeah. Like, that's the idea. I mean, you want to run the Spear Star right into the face of something else.
Yeah, so you can get the Rune Golem in and abuse just how good Rune Golems are.
Right.
Josh is going to be a broken person going into this.
They're only good when they're in the front line of an army.
So always.
No, you look at the dial.
I did.
The
It was
worst
beautiful.
Dial. They have the
Don't
worst
you
dial
talk
in the
about
game.
that poor
The
rune
dial
golem.
is awful.
Oh god, they really only have 7 things on it?
Yeah.
8.
Well, they have
No,
the
7.
2 modifiers.
Oh, see, they have 2 white things.
But they're
Look,
not
all these other ones only have
helpful.
1. No, look, you can shift him. He can sound the trumpets.
So they attack. So here's where some of the runes come in. So they attack on 5, but they move. Their straight up move, like their early move on 4, is based on how many runes are showing.
Oh, what could go wrong?
Yeah. So they might be really fast, but they might not.
Just
I mean, you know before you set your dial.
just roll the runes
Yeah.
well. That seems like an easy solution.
And also they have a defense bonus that might be good. I mean, they always get something. They'll always have at least one. So their defense is pretty
They
good.
have a modifier called brutal, and you're calling them bad.
They do. But again, that's also dependent on runes.
Of course it is.
Yeah. So, I mean, brutal is a great modifier. It's really good when it has a number next to it. So, like Kari and Hawthorne are naturally brutal 1.
Yep.
Which that basically they are treated as having an extra tray wide for threat. So with Kari and Hawthorne, whenever you're attacking, you're multiplying their dice by 2,
Gotcha.
even though they're only a single tray. The rune golems have that, but it's based on the rune. Which again, there will always be at least 1 showing.
But it could be 5.
No, that would max out. I forget. I always forget what's on the stupid runes because
That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't mean to distract us too much, but we haven't had much happen
Yeah,
yet.
they're
Like,
just-
JJ moved her
did she move?
her
Something.
Hawthorne like very, very slowly.
Okay, so he
forward.
bumped in the back of those, which
Oh,
is on purpose.
the archers are
Yep,
taking the high
so
ground.
they jump in there,
It's over, Anakin.
and so they didn't blow it up. So they don't have a bomb on them,
Mm-hmm.
because that happens. It's not. Yeah, that's not a May. Like if you bump your bomb thing into terrain, it just blows up. You don't get a choice.
Oh, this is the old. I was looking at the Google autocomplete. The objective of Runewars is to be the first to control the 6 hexagonal squares.
That's a
Other
different-
Rune
that's
Wars.
different Rune Wars.
Got it.
Yeah,
It's like I don't know what we're doing, but it's not that.
yeah. I don't know what I forget what the runes. I don't know. There's some
It doesn't
that,
matter.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Rune
matter.
Golem for the best
Anyway.
unit in the game. You should play an army of only them. It'll be great.
Somebody in the chat can look that up and tell us.
Tell us just how.
I
good they
forget
are.
what's on the side of each one of them. I don't know. But yeah, but that's the thing is they turn themselves from a 1 into a 2 tray unit, but they turn the Spear Star into basically being effectively 4 or 5 trays wide.
So Zeke also just throws his
Yep.
archers
So
on the thing.
he's running his So he ran his archers into the trees, so they also did not have a bomb, which is interesting, and ran his Spear Star forward. And he's checking to see how far he is from the cav.
Is there anything he can do at this point that measuring this right now matters, or is that
I think
for future reference?
yeah,
type
just to
thing?
see how far. To basically probably more thinking about what JJ might do with her cav next turn if she wants to try to engage with them, and what initiative they would have to move on to get there. So that's part of like the information that you know in this game is that by doing that he can tell, oh, they're this far away. So she would have to dial in, like, you know, if she's 4 away, she could get there on initiative 4 because they can move 2 and 2.
Yeah, gotcha.
So he has to know, like, all right, are they going to potentially move before my spear guys move? So that's part of kind of the you know the mental part of this game is, well, when is my opponent going to do this? Am I still going to be here when they do it? Are they going to cancel out the thing I'm trying to do by getting to me
Yeah.
before I can do anything? And so yeah, Zeke just checked range from his terrain into JJ's, and they are in firing range of each other, so they'll be able to shoot. I don't know
The
what.
archers were in range of each other. Then?
Yeah.
Is that what that was?
Yep, I don't know what keywords are on those
I'll go check
terrain,
actually because it does.
because some of it might be a defense bonus against ranged potentially.
So they could tickle each other from far away.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go tilt the camera up some a little bit
Okay.
so we can realize just how high up it is.
Yeah, so we're trying to find out if these terrain provide any bonuses that would favor one over the other. And so with JJ's archers, so the nice thing about them is they can attack and also dial in the special. So they're not going to get their surge on the attack, their dial in surge. But she does have the ability to, since the special modifier is white on the deep wood archers, she can fire and also do the dispatch runner. So they're a pretty effective unit. What's going on with our terrain there?
So the left terrain that is on JJ's side is elevated.
Okay.
And the right terrain is cover 1.
Okay. So elevated, so she can trace line of sight through other units,
Gotcha.
which normally she would not be able to because they are
seems really
higher
good.
off the ground. Yeah. Elevated is really nice for that. And then cover 1, I'm trying to... So cover, they increase their defense because they're hiding in the trees.
So really JJ has the better offensive terrain, Zeke has the better defensive terrain.
Yeah. Yep. So, I was just saying, so JJ, the nice thing about her archers is that they can shoot and also activate an extra attack from another unit. But they're going to have a hard time bringing down crossbowmen with cover. The crossbowmen are going to put out more damage than JJ's archers on average. So if this is just an exchange of fire, JJ probably loses that exchange. Just because the crossbowman damage output is significant. The crossbowmen, actually, they also have a static defensive upgrade. Let me make sure I get the wording on it right. Where they remove a damage from the pool, basically. Which is pretty nice. So their protected one is their keyword. So basically when they're defending against any attack, they subtract 1 from the damage pool.
Gotcha.
Which is enough that, it keeps an extra guy alive. So they're a little more defensive than the elf archers that JJ has. But JJ has the ability to, again, she can shoot anything. So she can shoot Zeke's cavalry from there.
And basically anything on the board at this point.
She might even have, it's close, but she might even have range to his spear star from there.
Yeah, if she has range to the other archers, to the other terrain, it's probably because the corner would be there.
Yeah, so I think she, just eyeballing it, probably does. So she doesn't even necessarily have to commit to try and killing his crossbowmen with her archers. The other advantage that she's got is if she manages to land something between there, like if she runs her cav up into that space or gets something between the crossbowmen and her archers, then they're not going to be able to shoot her archers because she's elevated, so she can shoot over the top of stuff, but Zeke isn't.
So what are all these tokens that JJ has?
Those are inspiration tokens.
Gotcha.
So Hawthorne has an ability where he gives an inspiration. His special is he gives an inspiration to everybody at range 3 of himself, all friendly units. So he just hands it out.
Gotcha.
So she usually spends a couple turns at the beginning just
passing them out.
We've got a morale test there. So let's see. He rolled white red. What's going on?
We need an adult.
So that had to be Hawthorne. Why was he taking a morale check? I don't know. Did he get attacked? I don't know what's going on. But yeah, so Hawthorne usually spends some turns just kind of handing those out and getting his army. He's a cheerleader.
It's very kind.
Yeah. All right, so Zeke has charged.
So JJ is basically saying, I have no reason to go to you. You come to me.
Yep. And so he's charged her spearmen, and he's using Moment of Inspiration to add the white die.
Because the white die is usually heroes.
Yeah,
right?
generally heroes have the white die.
Not like hard rule, but generally.
Yeah. So far, heroes are the only ones who naturally have a white die. I say that, knowing that it might. No, it's not. I'm pretty sure that one's not wrong.
So they switched.
Yeah, they reserved that for heroes. So he just killed a tray plus a couple more figures. It looks like.
Yep.
Yeah, so it took out six spearmen. Do they have, what does she have on them? She has Citadel Weapons Master. Interesting. So the spearmen, that's not a lot. 6 damage out of that many dice is fairly low.
Gotcha. So we would expect more of those.
Yeah. No, that can't have been. Wait, that can't have been 6. That doesn't work out right because he's 4 wide. So 6 is not a number that you can get.
You can get. Something else must have happened that
Yeah.
affects it. So I'm just looking at. So the dial that this uses is spearmen, right?
Yes.
So I'm looking at when they can charge.
Yeah.
Is the
So that's a modifier
so
that lets them
blue,
charge
right?
that you
so
apply.
It have to be at 4 or 5 that
Yep.
they can go.
Yeah.
And these cavalry are.
And she actually, so she's got Raven Tabards, so her cavalry can get to his on 3.
Gotcha.
If they're range 4 from each other. So the funny thing about measuring like unit movement is you have to ignore the range 1 thing on the ruler, because that would give you a false impression of how far you can move.
You have to measure, start from the 5 side.
Yep.
Yeah.
But if they're 4 away, because she's got the Raven Tabard, she could dial in her 2 move, which is actually going to be at initiative 3. So Raven Tabard shifts all her blue actions down in initiative.
Gotcha.
So she could actually her 1 straight is on 2, and her 2 straight's on 3, and then she can put the 2 modifier in there. So she can move 4 forward without a charge at
This
initiative
is not a
3.
game where you want to move last.
No. Unless, well, I mean, there are some cases where it's advantageous. There
Right.
are some units that have like a really late charge, so you can kind of wait until something's gotten itself
Or,
out of position.
What is the unit
The
that
Death
is-
Knights are
well,
great
like
at that.
Aliana probably wants to move last because she's Whisper.
Yep. Yeah, she likes moving last, and so if you flip to the next page there, the
Yeah.
Death Knights, so they have a late charge, so they can charge at initiative 9 and catch some things
After
kind of
they
off
move.
guard.
Gotcha. Because you can
Yeah.
also just move it 5 for exactly the same thing.
Yep.
Gotcha. That's interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, Zeke must have had a bad roll there, but I'm still trying to figure out how the math works out to 6 because he multiplies everything by 4. So unless there were 2 dead already that I didn't catch and he just killed 4, which means he'd only show 1 symbol on 4 dice. That's awful. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what happened there. But JJ's attacking with her archers somewhere into Zeke's crossbowman, looks like, because he's getting ready to pull some figures off
Well,
of there.
Zeke is now more or less out of the range of his archers that he has hiding in the trees, right? So the only thing his archers can shoot is probably the other archers.
Yep.
Which is probably, I think that's good for JJ.
Yeah, I mean, she's probably going to lose that unit over a couple rounds of fire, but yeah, she's not losing any of her really high damage output units.
Right.
So yeah, she fired into there. Looks like there's one tray of crossbowmen gone at least. Or he took 3 figures off there. So one of them is the figure that he has in the space, I think, and then a couple more came off. Yeah, if the spearman dialed in the +1, which I didn't see if they activated before. Yeah, so if they dialed on their +1 defense, maybe they just like rallied and +1 before the charge happened. Yeah, so that probably is the likely scenario, is that he rolled 12. So he rolled 3 symbols on the 4 dice for 12 damage, and they had their defense buff up. So spearmen attack into the cavalry and kill half the unit.
Yep. Wow.
Yep.
They are weapon masters, to
Yep.
be fair, from the Citadel.
Yep. So they have the Citadel Weapon Master, which adds a red die every time they melee attack.
Gotcha. And then that gets multiplied by the width, which was 3.
They're 3. Yep. And also that attack was the extra one. Was that the extra one, or was that their own? So that's what I'm trying. I should have been paying attention.
Looks like
All
some
right,
archers.
so some archers are coming off. Yeah, so it looks like Zeke fired in with his crossbowman there and killed a Trey plus 3. Oh, well, she's got 1 in there, so he killed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so he did 6 damage. Took out a Trey and a half. Which is pretty, 6 is the spearmen, or the crossbowmen can crank out 6 damage a turn pretty reliably.
So the spear star still hasn't moved yet, and this cavalry also haven't activated, right?
Yeah.
So that's, I guess I'm curious what order that happens in, because they're both, are they bluffing each other here, or is one of them, is it just going to happen one way? Like you said, the cavalry can make their initiative lower.
Yeah.
And they want to activate first because if they activate, they get more armor, you said, right? Or is that
so if they can, and part of that too is if they're going to engage, ideally they would engage on a turn that JJ, let's see, so the Cav swings on a 3, the Spearmen swing on a 3. So ideally, the turn they engage, JJ would not have the initiative. She would want their first combat turn after engagement, ideally to be on her initiative so that she could have that one turn of getting her defense buff up first.
Yeah.
But she's turning away. So she's not even gonna. So this is the problem with the Spear Star, is that if he thought they were just going to joust, and he dialed in straight, he might just go right by.
He might just go charging at the board edge and do nothing. If they can do that 3 bank, I think it was, then
so we'll see what. Yeah,
we'll see what Zeke dialed. He might hit him either way, or might have hit either way. But
yeah, so either if he dialed in, and this is part of the fun of this game, is depending on what he thought JJ was doing, if he dialed in the modifier to bank him, then he's going to be in great position because he'll have them flanked, and that's terrible for them.
But you don't.
If he didn't.
Yeah, but he would rather charge, right? He'd rather just go straight and charge.
Yep.
So JJ's saying you either have to go straight and miss me, or you have to bank and not get to attack.
Yeah. So JJ just attacked again with. I'm wondering if she might have. See, I wasn't paying attention to see when she activated her elves to see if that was a second attack from the spearman using.
That's a straight template.
Yeah.
There
so
they go.
he was counting on just running at each other's face, and now he is behind. So the problem there is that the cavalry are fast. So they're going to be able. This turn, they're going to run away.
Yeah, and probably just go dumpster those archers, right?
Yep. And so if they can get the archers clear fast enough that they can get out of there, because this turn he's going to have to reform the Spear Star. Otherwise, they're stuck. They're going to be useless over there.
How do you reform the Spear Star?
Eyeball it.
Fair.
Yeah. So he's going to have to try to get his finger in the middle there as best he can. But
because if those cavalry have the marker thing on them, then she's going to go fight the archers and blow it up. That seems pretty good.
Yeah. So we're seeing, we're both looking, what's going to happen here? So Zeke's got to try to figure out what he's going to do with those crossbowmen. Again, this is another spot where that Raven Tabards really screws everything up because she's doing everything one earlier, so he doesn't have that buffer. The crossbowmen, they attack at 5 for ranged. So if she and the cavalry are moving 3, normally they would move 3 forward on a 5, but they move 3 forward on a 4, which is probably enough to close that distance. And also they have that modifier, so it's risky to dial in the ranged attack there because they might just be on top of him before he can even shoot.
And then he can't do anything.
Yeah. He may, and the other problem too is, so they can shift back into that terrain, but that's on a 6.
Gotcha. So they might all be dead by then.
Right. And JJ, like, if she really wants to crash into them, she could dial in a 3 straight and a 2 and move 5, and it doesn't matter where they are. Like, they could be in the terrain and she'd still crash into the terrain and be engaged with them.
Yep. And if she's engaged with them and they're in the terrain, does the objective happen? How does that work?
So the terrain would blow up, and then those 2 units would stay engaged.
Gotcha. So that'd be really bad for the archers.
Yeah,
then
because
they're not
they're
covered
engaged
anymore.
there, and they have to stay engaged until either something's dead or one of them chooses to move away. Like combat and the result of like combat and things don't cause you to disengage naturally. So Zeke's gonna have to make a choice if he wants to try and chase down the cavalry, or if he just turns them towards the archers and just goes and smashes into that. And I don't know if he's got a bomb on his spear star or not. Because if he does, he could just point at that terrain where
maybe
JJ's
next
archers
turn,
are
the
and
turn
just
after
go
this one.
crash into that. And wipe the terrain and also kill her archers very quickly. But JJ still got Hawthorne back there just hanging out. So it looks like Zeke. Why is he rolling dice?
Just likes rolling dice. Whatever.
Was he that was Hawthorne, but was he attacking? It didn't look like. It looks like all the dials are face up. Maybe he's just sad about his dice. I don't know.
I think,
Maybe that was a test.
JJ's activate.
Is she activating thing? Okay.
Yeah, like because she was putting the tokens down.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So she's activated her Hawthorne. She's putting some inspiration out.
That's a lot of inspired people.
Yep.
That's a good leader.
Yep.
Hawthorne.
He does that very well. And so she's attacking and, finishes off the rest of his cav. So her spearmen on their activation killed the cav. And so they don't get to do anything. They weren't activated yet, so they just die. JJ's cavalry. Yep. She's going to crash into those.
So, and we'll see if she did
Yep.
the charge. If she's also gonna go and. I didn't see the
Yeah.
archers. I thought the archers were just there because they were in cover and
Yeah.
there wasn't actually room for it on the
Yeah.
model.
No,
I didn't see
they
the-
came out. So
I
he
didn't see
moved
them
out of the
actually
terrain.
move.
Yeah.
And
And
they're at
so-
an angle there because she can't fit them. Or they're trying
So
to figure
now
out how.
she's measuring for flank.
Yeah.
So the way you do this is you measure from the unit that gets hit, you measure from their corner.
Mm-hmm.
And if there is one side that has more trays than the other, then you get to flank. If it's even, the attacker or the person who would be doing the flanking gets to choose.
And they'll probably
So it looked
almost
like-
always choose to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you absolutely would. And it looked like probably there were 2 on either side. It looked like that was kind of going right down the middle tray. So JJ got the choice, so of course chooses to flank. That was not a
There it
charge.
is,
So she
spin.
dialed in.
Well,
Yep.
That worked much better than I expected.
Yeah.
Oh,
So he's going to chase the cavalry.
yep.
So he's banking on the fact that she's going to have to take another turn to kill the crossbowman, and that he might be able to get a flank charge on, or a flank on them before they're gone. So JJ didn't get to attack, but the thing is, if her archers activate, they can give the cavalry an attack now.
Gotcha. And also.
And also attack. So if she can, between the attack from her archers and her cavalry, if she can kill that crossbow unit, then her cavalry can just run.
Yep, and I mean,
and the
I assume her
spears are
cavalry
gonna-
is worth less than the spears.
Yes.
Like, every turn she can keep the, giant mess of
Yeah.
spears from fighting is probably worth it.
Yep, so her cavalry is 48 points, and his spear star is 79.
Gotcha. 79 out of 200, right?
Yep.
Okay, so almost half the list.
Yeah. So it's possible. It's entirely possible that she could wipe that crossbow unit this turn.
Yeah, and we're going into turn 4 after this, I think.
Yeah. So she's going to have a flank attack. So she's going to have her archers, which are at 3 trays now. So they max out at 6 damage, which would be 5. Because they can subtract 1. And then the cav is going to be rolling 3 reds and a blue. And they're 3 trays wide. Oof. So their maximum damage right now, 2, 4, 6, 7, is 21.
There aren't 21 archers there.
No. I mean, that's a perfect roll, which is unlikely. But 12 to 15 is reasonable to expect for them.
Which is
in flanking.
Probably enough.
Yeah.
Or close to enough.
Yeah. So her archers are activating now. They're shooting.
And she's choosing to leave the cover. Or the high ground.
Yeah. And they must have. So they did not dispatch runner, which is interesting. So that means she must have dialed in the shift. Let me look at the archer now real quick here.
It looks like she's selling out the archers to stop them from catching the cavalry. She's trying to line it up so that
Okay, so they have a thing where they can spend surges from their attack, and after the attack they can perform a speed 1 shift.
Gotcha.
And shift, you can put any side of your base in alignment with terrain when you're exiting.
So she was very carefully measuring how far apart the archers were from the spear star.
Yep.
It's probably so they can't quite get up to them this turn,
Yeah.
I assume.
Yeah, so I think she's probably thinking that she can't do much about the cavalry getting caught, but she's going to put her archers in a position to fire on that spear star for as long as her cavalry is there.
Yeah. Tokens. I'm not sure what that token is.
Let's
It's
see.
right there. Yeah, the video camera, the video camera quality is very low for some reason since we set it up. So after this round, I was going to bring it down for a second and see if I can't fix it. If we have time.
Yeah.
If not, this is fine.
Yep.
We've got an hour left in the round, though.
Yeah, so she's attacking into his crossbowman, and looks like there's just 1 tray of them left.
I'm going to run to the restroom really quick.
Okay.
Sorry, leaving you all alone.
I'll be all right.
You might be better off.
Yeah, so I think, so if that was another attack from the cavalry, then she missed her bonus flank die, which, potentially was enough to kill them. So that looks like that maybe was a mistake. So we'll see. Yeah, I mean, that may have been a mistake. I don't know that. Even if it was, I don't know. I mean, the benefit there would be being able to get the cavalry clear of the spear star, but I don't think she wants to do that at this point anyway. Because if she runs them out of there, then her archers just get rolled over, and that's probably not what she wants. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see how this next turn plays out. Clearly the cav is going to be there for another turn, at least. But it looks like her plan is probably to intercept the spear star with them. And honestly, that's probably her best unit to engage the spear star with anyway. Obviously, she would rather not be flanked. She'd rather get him turned around and do it head on, and have her archers there for support. And then she could potentially bring Hawthorne up the side there and flank with him. or potentially, I mean, she could get Kari into that terrain and start shooting. There's a lot of things she can do. So I think probably it makes sense to try and hold the Spear Star there and leverage her other units to come help with that. Probably makes the most sense, since that's really Zeke's threat on the board right now. His crossbowmen are still there, but they won't be after this round, in all likelihood. And they probably won't even get to activate this round, I would imagine. So I think her strategy is to just try and keep them there. And let her other units put the damage into the Spear Star. Of course, we've still got, I guess, Zeke's Hawthorne and her Kari are tangled up over there, so we'll see what happens there. Alright, so Zeke is attacking with his Hawthorne and finishes off JJ's Kari. So her Kari is now dead.
Kari, no.
Yeah. Poor Kari.
So the board state hasn't changed much. I guess I was only on for a second.
Yeah.
So
I think probably I was kind of talking about, so it looks like JJ may have missed her flank bonus die when she attacked the crossbowman last turn, which may have killed them, but I was saying I think her plan right now is to keep her cavalry there.
And then use
which
the
is
archers
not
to
which is not ideal, getting them flanked by the Spear Star, but I think she'd rather have the Spear Star stuck there than being able to just kind of crash into her archers, because they'll just roll through that.
Yeah, because the Spear Star will fight the cavalry, and then the archers can get out of the way, and then the spearmen can come finish it off, basically.
Yeah, and she's still got her Hawthorne down there, who can, he could go wherever he wanted from this point, basically. But yeah, so now she's flank charged his Hawthorne with her spearmen, so she added a red die, gets a reroll.
Oh wow! So one crossbowman lived. That's unfortunate for JJ.
Yeah. So her cav is stuck there, but I think they were. All right. So his Hawthorne took a wound. It looks like. Looks like you put a wound token out there.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was like, because it's a hero unit, it takes wounds instead of removing trays.
Yep.
As it takes damage.
Yep.
Okay.
And so he's got to take 4 wounds to die.
Wow. So that whole attack just did 1 wound.
Yep.
Wow. He is
because he's probably defense 5. No, he doesn't have the shield, so he's defense 4. Because Might of Dakan just gives him a static defense bonus. All right, no, so he can still be, if he dialed in the plus defense, so he can still be defense 5. That's right. The shield doesn't give a defense bonus. The shield, which is what I usually run on Hawthorne.
That's a lot of dice.
Yeah, that is. So that's JJ's.
Something is super dead.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the crossbow.
She's killing finishing off the crossbowman. But now her cavalry doesn't. I don't know what she'll do. She'll keep him parked there just to take the hit from the Spear Star and keep it there.
Mm-hmm. When you are engaged, like if someone's flanking you, can you attack back?
Yes.
Okay.
So the thing about that is you don't get any rank bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
So having an extra rank of trays behind your front rank gives you a reroll. So a partial rank gives you 1 die. A full rank gives you as many dice as you want. Oh, did she move into the terrain?
Wow. How? What? How? Because you can only move over 1 tray, right? I guess it did only move over 1 tray.
So she... Yeah, it looks like her cav went into the terrain.
Maybe it was only over 1 tray.
Huh.
And the Spear Star is swing and a miss again.
Yeah.
Wow.
So she must have activated her archers first to give them an attack.
Yeah,
And
moved
then
them.
activated them and ran them into the terrain.
Yeah. Cute.
Yep. So that was... I didn't even think about that.
So
that
can
was
they
clever.
charge out of the terrain and now flank them? Like guaranteed, you could come out any direction? Or
So... Yeah, so what she can do... Yeah, so yeah, chat caught up with that too. That yeah, she attacked with the dispatch runner and then activated the march, which is clever. That's a really good play because then... So what she can do is she can... So unfortunately, they don't have a shift. But that's a way to basically... So she's mitigating their weakness. So normally they do that reform on 8. But instead, she ran them in there, which lets them come out facing anyway. Like their back edge still has to be against the terrain, but she can come out and charge the Spear Star head on.
yeah.
Rather than having to turn
Well,
around.
she can come in straight from behind it now, right? Like if
So-
she comes out from the back left corner of that
She,
rock.
so she's in this terrain, the trees.
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
but isn't the
'Cause
horse there?
That's Hawthorne.
Okay.
So she put
The
Hawthorne in
whole
that
world
terrain.
makes more sense now. I get
Yeah.
it.
So
I was like, how did
Hawthorne.
that do that?
So Hawthorne's in a good spot to flank the Spear Star. Because yeah, his Spear Star is facing that way, the way that JJ's measuring right now. And so Hawthorne's in a good spot to flank them, and her cavalry can come out of that terrain with their back edge, so she can probably leverage them. She might even, depending on the angle, she might be able to get a flank, but it's going to be tricky. But she can put them out basically in this space next to her archers and run them forward.
Is that Spear Star the only thing Zeke has left now?
He has his Hawthorne. So his Hawthorne is engaged with
Oh, yeah.
her spears. So he's got a full Spear Star and a Hawthorne with at least 1 wound on him.
But he's lost all his crossbows and his cavalry,
Yes.
and JJ's lost 5 archers.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
Savage.
This is going well for JJ. But you can see again, she's a very smart
Yeah,
player.
I mean it was all from the very beginning of the game where
Yep.
those Spear Star didn't fit.
Yep. And also that banking them around, like lining them across, like, oh, I'm going to come at you, and then banking them so that he overcommitted and ran by. And then that move into the terrain was very smart, because now she's going to get to line them up kind of however she wants.
Yep.
She's not stuck just spinning them in place, which, last turn she could have dialed in that late reform and spun them around.
Or you can go into the terrain to do the same
But
thing.
now,
but
do
like
the same
lower
thing,
initiative.
but at a lower initiative and with more. Yeah, so the lower initiative let her be out of any potential of getting run into by the Spear Star.
Because now, as long as the Spear Star moves before her cavalry, she's always right. Because she can come out from this side, from the bottom facing left, or from the top facing left.
Yeah.
And just come and flank no matter what direction.
She
the Spear
might,
Star
so she
goes.
might be able to flank. So again, her back edge would have to be lined up there. So
Oh,
she'd have to
gotcha.
come in
Okay,
this
it's the
way.
back edge
Yeah,
that
because
has
they
to
don't have a shift.
Gotcha.
So they only go straight forward because that's what they do.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
So it looked like Zeke just reformed his Hawthorne so that he was not being flanked anymore. And yep, she's moved her Hawthorne out and moved him forward. So she dialed in the double move with Hawthorne at
Just-
initiative 3.
So now they're stuck there, right?
Yep, so now his Spear Star can't move,
Yep.
and they're engaged. Hawthorne's on their flank. Again, not that, so JJ's doesn't have any upgrades, but still he's flanking. So he's going to be rolling white, red, red.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll do some decent damage from there. And also now she knows exactly where he's going to be.
Yeah, and now the archers aren't going to
Yep.
die. They can take shots
Right.
unresponded, and the cavalry can come in
Yep.
from
So-
there and come around
Yeah.
or whatever.
So that was part of her plan, was get them engaged with Hawthorne, and so her archers just killed
So
6
after a
spearmen.
double, the archers did
Yep.
the attack.
Yep, that was her archers.
But now
activating.
she can activate. She can pass out that attack to Hawthorne, who can attack.
Yes.
Okay.
So she can dispatch runner onto either her spearman to attack into Zeke's Hawthorne, or her Hawthorne to get an attack on the
Yeah.
spears. So we'll see which one she does. Hawthorne. Although he should have an extra die from yep, there she goes. So added the red for the flank.
And gets the
And
entire
that's
rest
the
of the
yep,
back tray.
that's the back. So that spear star is
So now can she move her Hawthorne to behind?
so she will slide him up
Or does
next
she
to them like
stay-
that. Yep.
okay.
So she stays engaged with that side
Okay, it has to be the
and
same
just
side.
shifts, yeah.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so clearly that was her entire plan, was get them tied up there, and now I imagine her cavalry is going to come out
And just go straight into.
and just go
front of
straight
it.
in the front of them, yeah.
Yeah.
So she might get, so that's what I was saying, like if she can
Yeah, if
fidget
there's
that
room.
enough, then she can potentially get a flank there. And it looks like she's probably in space to flank. So Zeke is attacking with, so I think I stopped my train of thought before I explained how this works.
fine.
But so he's attacking into Hawthorne with his spear star.
Right.
Now he doesn't get any rank bonus, so he has no rerolls. So you get no rank bonuses whatsoever, even if it's from a card. So like if you had rank discipline, which would treat you as having an extra rank for reroll purposes, you don't get to do that. And also his threat is not measured across the front anymore. It's measured across the contacted edge. So
We are
she
checking the
decreased his
rules.
threat and also decreased his rerolls by flanking him.
So we're checking the rules on something.
Yeah.
Everyone is.
They might be looking at how the damage works on the flank. But basically, he's going to have a much harder time doing damage to Hawthorne with him in a flanking position. Because it really, I mean, it gives you an offensive bonus if you are flanking them, and also decreases their offense against you.
Yeah.
So being flanked is super bad.
Oh,
Although apparently it was enough to kill Hawthorne.
rest in peace, Hawthorne.
So, but
And he did his job.
But he did
right?
his job. He came in there, got him tied up, did some damage, finished off the rest of that back rank, and set them up so that her cavalry is just gonna.
Lord Hawthorne is jacked.
Oh yeah,
Wow, and he's got a sweet helmet.
yep. And he's got a big old like handlebar mustache, or like the full like trucker like down to the chin mustache.
Nice.
Yeah, he's quite a guy.
I mean, he's not as jacked as the Rune Golem, to be clear.
No.
So the Rune Golem has 2 sets of shoulders, and one of them has shoulder pads.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. The rune golems have, and they're carrying either 3 or 4 swords depending on the model.
Fair.
So, yeah. And yet.
No, don't you say it. Don't you talk bad about my boys.
Yeah. Yeah, so Zeke's seeing what kind of situation the Spear Star's in right now.
The
And JJ is less than 1 away. So she's going to be able to... Yep, so casting the runes for this round. So she's going to be able to charge into his Spear Star on initiative 2.
Yep.
So the spearmen don't even do anything at all that early.
They
So
just can't do
Yeah,
anything.
they just don't have anything at 2. So she's going to get to swing in and probably be flanking and attack them
and
before
if not,
they
it's not a
even
big
act.
deal. Because she's going to attack, and then her archers are going to attack, and then she's going to attack again, probably all before the spears can do anything.
Yeah, so her archers. So depending on what they do.
It's
So
heavy
the
crossbow,
archers,
right?
no, this is the Deepwood archers. So they fire at 5.
Oh, okay. You can cross
so-
faction, or is this?
So Kari lets you bring 1 elf unit.
Ah,
Because she's an elf who is part of the human faction, but she
Gotcha.
has some elf friends, I guess, that will come help out. So yeah, depending on what she does with the archers.
So then you could bring Kari, the Spear Star, and then these archers that let you attack twice with the Spear Star and burn everything to the ground?
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah, you could. And JJ used to do that. Actually, I played against her when she was running a Spear Star and the Dispatch Runner. And so the Spear Star would just attack twice and just crush things.
Is Dispatch Runner an upgrade that's only for those archers, or?
No.
Okay.
No. They just have to have the right slot for that. So, like X-Wing, there are different upgrade slots depending on the card.
So there might be human units that can do it too.
Yeah. So there's the Spearmen can have a Dispatch Runner if they get to a certain size. That's the other thing. Like, the bigger the unit is, for the most part, the more slots they have available.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, she used to do that. She used to have a spear, like a spear unit, a 4-tray spear unit that had a Dispatch Runner and the rallying guy, so she could use them to cause a second attack or refresh a thing. But she's moved to this archer unit with the Dispatch Runner, which I actually think is really clever, yeah. So she is charging, and they'll measure for a flank, but I'm sure she's got it.
Yeah, it looks
Looking
like it's
at
straight
this
down
now,
the center.
yeah. And she's got at least, yep.
If it fits, which it does.
Yep.
And how do you decide what angle, like how many trays down and everything? Like, could she shift it one more to the left there?
So you just have to try to square up to like the nearest thing to where you are.
Okay.
So if she were further in, like if she had contacted with the far right
Mm-hmm.
tray, then she could have swung it
Gotcha.
further, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, she's got 3 reds and a blue. Reroll these with her rank. Red, so it looks like there's at least 2. And then she doesn't have rank discipline on them. So she only gets 1 full reroll. So because she's got a full rank of cavalry, she can pick up as many dice she wants and reroll them once.
Gotcha. And something happened.
So one of those die must be showing the panic symbol. So that's the morale deck.
Right.
So if you're showing that symbol, which is a little swirly thing, they get a test. And if the number of symbols on the card, so the card will either have 1, 2, or 3 symbols. And however many symbols you spent, so if she was showing 1 on the die and then the card has 1 on it, she can do that thing. And so it looks like it put some tokens on Zeke's unit there. Not sure which ones. So for example, if she had 1 symbol showing on the die and flipped over a card that had 3 symbols, then it just does nothing.
Gotcha.
No effect. So it's basically like you're spending the results that you have to activate the card, kind of. That's how it works. Yep, so her archers activate, and they shoot, they reroll.
Failed, it looked like.
Yeah, because her archers, so the elf archers naturally have a reroll built in. They have a keyword called Precise One, which gives them a reroll.
So they shifted.
And then they're using she must have rolled some surges, so they're using the surges to take their speed 1 shift that they get. So that's just an archer thing. And then she is, just checking for range for the Dispatch Runner to see if she could activate the cavalry again.
Gotcha.
And swing
Looks
into
like the
that
answer is
Spear
yes, 'cause
Star.
that's a large bucket of dice in hand.
Yep.
Oh, just 3. Just kidding.
So I don't know where her flank die is. I wonder if she forgot to do her flank die again. Yep,
Wow.
more spearmen are dying.
Spearman!
And it looks like she forgot her flank die, which would have been more. Guy's dead. But so that second rank is now gone. So he's got just that front rank left.
Yep. So, in this situation, if you're JJ, do you hold off on killing the Spear Star to go blow up the tree too? Score as many points as possible? And then finish the job?
So yeah, I mean, depending on I don't know which units she's got. If she's got something available that could do that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, ideally, because the game, like if she destroys everything, it is a game over.
Right.
So ideally, yeah, I think she'd probably like to go get the objective taken care of. Because that point bonus is going to potentially push her to a 10-1 victory. I mean, it looks like she has the win wrapped up here.
Oh, I
probably.
Think so. I don't know enough because there's the Hawthorne and then there's a third of a Spear Star left.
Yeah. So points wise, currently, Zeke's got. Let's see, from his Spear Star. I'm gonna have to do a little math here. So the Spearmen, I've got to look at their. Oops, why am I doing that? Why would I go to that when I can go there?
The Spearman unit expansion. It's the most useful resource.
So his Spearmen right now, he's got that. So they're 18 points plus upgrades.
So you don't get any of the upgrade points until the entire unit's dead, I assume? Or the math is way too complicated.
Yeah. So Shield Wall, Frontline Rune Golem, and I'm not going to do all the math, but so they're somewhere around 30 points-ish, and his Hawthorne is 42. So he's got 72, 75-ish points on the board.
And she has 200.
And she's got, so she's lost some she lost her Hawthorne.
Oh, that's right.
And her
So
Kari.
the 75 is important then because it could be a 10-0 versus a 9-1 or an 8-2 win.
So she's got 65 points off the board right now. So right now, points-wise, it's fairly close. So that 75, I mean, assuming she's going to wipe out the rest of the Spear Star and just get rid of all those points. Yeah, I mean, if she can grab that objective, then that would be a big boost. Yeah, I mean, it's it's reasonable to think she can get to 8-3. Oh boy,
you know who's left?
Just the
It's all over. This is his final form. It's his time. He's ready.
And
she's gonna one shot the entire cavalry.
And she's doing so she did a level 3 panic test on him, and did flip a level 3 card over. So she's doing that thing, which oh boy,
the Rune Golem. No.
Yep, he's gone.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
Well, I hope the Rune Golem had good medical coverage, good life insurance for his family.
Yeah. So.
Good benefits. That's so sad.
Yeah, he's
going home.
Kaput. So now she's attacking into his Hawthorne. So which card was that? Let's see if I can figure out which card, because I don't remember off the top of my head.
Oh, so he had to attack himself.
So
betrayal.
I don't know. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I can just go.
But he didn't roll any dice.
Gotcha.
So no, it wasn't. That's the reform one. Because there's one that just is it that? No, that's.
Oh, Hawthorne goes down.
Hawthorne dies. Yep. So that's game over. Yeah. So that's the one. So it was Discipline Breakdown, was the one she hit. So she hit the one that could actually kill his unit. So you choose and discard one upgrade card from the unit. If it was a figure upgrade, which the Rune Golem is, remove the corresponding figure. So.
She got to choose which upgrade.
So she got to choose. So the Rune Golem is an upgrade, a figure upgrade.
Yeah.
So it just removes that figure. He was the only thing left. So just gone.
Yep.
So in a situation where you're down to only the unit upgrade left, like
you can just
typically is with that, you can just, this is the one card in that deck that would just kill it.
He didn't die. His discipline broke down and he went home.
He ran away.
Good.
Yeah.
Our boy pulls through.
Yep. So, there's 2 of those in the 30 cards. So, not a terrible chance to pull that one when you're flipping 3. Merrick
Give me the odds.
But so that was a situation where sometimes, again, that Morel deck can be super bad. Like, game over.
Whoops.
Game over bad. But yeah, so yeah, chat. Yeah, clever actions from JJ. Yeah, JJ is a great player. Strategically, she makes very good decisions, and it's tough to beat her. I've played against her several times, and she is an excellent player. And you saw it. She's very clever strategy.
So the next game will be her against. It's the winner of Justin and his opponent. Right?
Yeah.
I'll go see who that is.
So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what we've got coming up next. So we're gonna have one more round
We've got half
today.
an hour for the round in.
But yeah, we've still got some time. So. Yep, so JJ, I'll see if I can find out what the points were too when they get those added up and see where she's at. But again, all that stuff is in, and I can link it.
It'll be the Battle of the Jays.
Oh yeah?
Justin won.
Justin, okay. So everybody, you'll get to see one of our other Initiative 1 hosts battle it out. And see if we can actually play the game as well as talk about it.
Okay, are you good for me to go ahead and kill it for a second?
Yeah, I was going to put the link up real quick in chat
gotcha. Yeah.
for the standings, in case anybody is curious.
Yeah, and the stream should be right back up in a couple minutes. I'm just double checking some video settings so we can get much higher resolution out so you can see what's going on more clearly. We had a cable break this morning as we were setting everything up, so I had to panic, go run and buy a replacement, so I didn't have time to double check all the settings.
Yeah. So we'll see if we can do that a little better. But there's the link. The link's in chat now for the standings. So after this round is over, that will be updated with where everybody is after the end of round 2. So you can see the pairings, you can see tournament points, everything that's going on, MOV, all that stuff's in there. And then we'll be back in a little bit with round 3. Or, well, we'll be back before round 3 starts.
Thanks, guys.